Hello, I'm Mike Raymond. Welcome to Chevron Video's highlights of the 93 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, a 9-round feast of 5-litre action between Ford and Holden at the pointy end of the field. Now for this year, the turbos and 4-wheel drive road rockets have been made extinct. Normally aspirated racing has returned between the Henry and the General, with BMW and Toyota shaping up in the 2-litre category. Well, Holden's Thomas Mazera has stolen pole for the Shell Series opener at Amaroo Park, only to be gazumped by Alan Jones in the draw for the Peter Jackson Dash. But by the time the first heat came around, the Czech was back on deck.
Hope you enjoy the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, the 5-litre heat from Sydney's Amaroo Park. And Thomas Mazera gets off the line. Johnson is sideways. Scape goes up the inside route. We'll try and separate them before they make it to the top of the hill. And John Bower on the outside getting the crunch up to the top of the hill. Listen to the crowd as they dive now into Dunlop Loop. And here they come. Mazera's gone wide. Johnson now up on the inside. Scape moves to second. Then coming up on the inside of them was Alan Jones, followed by Glenn Seaton. Boy, we've seen 3 positional changes. They haven't even done half a lap yet. They get to the top of Bitchapave Hill and work to the right-hander at Dunlop Loop. And Mark Scaife is the boy on the move in Winfield number 1 car, trailing Dick Johnson. Johnson in the Shell Falcon gets it sideways on the exit to that turn. And here comes Scaife up on the inside. Johnson shuts off the option.
Not the right part of the track to try and pass Mike. He hasn't got the distance. He needs to be closer.
As they come across the line, just look at these V8s using all of the racetrack over our speed camera.
See Johnson's car snap sideways there under power as he drifted onto the front straight. These things are really moving around this circuit. Mark Scaife has been the fast guy Friday and Saturday. Mucked up qualifying yesterday, but boy, he's really on the pace in race trim.
The only way, I guess you could say he mucked it up, he came out way too late. And the track was still full of cars and he couldn't get a fair shot at it. At the moment, we've got a Ford sandwich working on Mark Scaife. We've got Dick Johnson at the head of the field. Mark Scaife in second spot. Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon, followed by John Bower. Next is Thomas Mazera, and then Wayne Gardner sits right in behind his teammate. He's been separated by Alan Jones, Jim Richards, Neil Crompton in the GIO Commodore, Peter Brock, and Terry Finnegan in the Foodtown Commodore.
Keep in mind too, these 5-litre V8 racing, this is going to be an intense tyre war throughout 1993, and already it's starting to happen.
We take our special Apollo race cam, courtesy of the Sydney Holden Dealer Network. This is from the tail of the GIO Commodore. Neil Crompton driving, he's gone a little wide there, and as you can see, there's Terry Finnegan up on the inside. Crompton running in 10th spot. There he is, beautifully turned out Bob Forbes race car. Running for GIO, Terry Finnegan, and of course the Ashby Reed Dulux Auto Colour machine right behind him. Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore. Gee, are they having a fierce battle. And they're back running 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th. Up front, Dickie Boy from Queensland just gives the arm car a bit of a shuffle as he brings her up the front straight.
Backdoor handle got a rub there.
I guess, Alan Moffat, it's a fair indication of just how physical these cars are to drive. They've got big wings and things on them, but as John Bower told me yesterday, they do still move around a hell of a lot on the racetrack.
Still requires a lot of energy, and these drivers will be getting so hot with the bonnet heat, under bonnet heat, the exhaust pipes coming through the car. They'll come out of the cars looking like, well, I was going to say roosters, but I think turkeys would probably be more to the point.
There's John Bower going through. Next you'll find is our pole sitter Thomas Mazera. Mazera might get a little luck out of this in that he made a poor start, but he'll get the pole back for the integrated final later this afternoon. They should have 4 laps to go the next time across the strike. Dickie Johnson of Queensland, John Bower, his teammate, then Thomas Mazera coming through. Alan Jones is next, followed by Wayne Gardner.
Well, whatever mistake Thomas made on the opening lap, he'll certainly put that in the memory bank. He won't want a repeat of that. He had an excellent run here yesterday to get pole position and did well in the dash as well, not to lose the front row and to not be able to capitalize on that position. He's going to be kicking himself. We take our Dunlop race cam. We're riding on the roof of Dick Johnson's Falcon EV as he heads down to the left-hander. Just watch the car as the acceleration out of here. They come out of the bottom corner now. They work the short straightaway. They'll have 1 lap to go. And the first V8 5-litre heat for the touring cars in the Shell Australian Championship. Dickie Johnson, car number 17 from Queensland, leads from Mark Scaife in the Winfield Holden Commodore. Third, Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon EV, followed by John Bower.
So you got the Ford muscle cars working over Mark Skaife at the moment as Johnson guns it out of Dunlop Loop. He might even be able to lap one car inside the distance. He's coming up on one of them. Seaton is very, very close to the tail of Mark Skaife, and John Bowe coming out like gangbusters. Here's Johnson down on the inside now.
I think John Bowe's probably playing a very clever game of chess here. Keep in mind these cars have got to do another 28-lap race on the same set of tyres.
Keep them nice and cool.
I think John Bowe's doing the right thing.
Well, they said this formula was looking back into the future. Don't you believe it? Last corner is coming up. The crowd are standing as one as Dick Johnson of Queensland wins the first 5-litre heat. The V8s are back. Second spot goes to the Commodore of Mark Skaife. Well, that has whet an appetite or two. Johnson the winner for Shell. The crowd think that is fabulous. Mark Skaife places in second, Glenn Seaton third, John Bowe fourth, and Thomas Mazzera finishes in fifth. Like those tyres, the V8s are off and running. Dick Johnson trying to get up the inside, but Mark Skaife has played the best game so far. He's shadowing Thomas Mazzera. There's Glenn Seaton up on the inside, and probably Thomas has got another bump before they get to the top of the hill. What will Dunlop Loop bring us? It'll bring us Mazzera in front. Skaife trying to play the enforcer. Johnson down the inside of him. The two Peter Jackson Falcons. Exciting, you betcha. They come out of Dunlop corner.
Oh, there's one off in the dust there.
I thought that may have been Jim Richards. No, it's not.
No, it must have been Mark Skaife, as Jim was further back in the pack. So Skaife's gone really wide. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. He's back in the pack. He's got all sorts of damage. No, that's number 2. That's Jim Richards.
So Richards and Skaife's back behind him. I don't know whether they came together or not, but it happened on the exit to Dunlop Loop. Now that has given Thomas Mazzera a break over Dickie Johnson, Glenn Seaton, Alan Jones there in it, then John Bowe, Larry Perkins is there. Great start from Peter Brock.
Well, Larry Perkins, as he went past the Castrol Commodore, the front of that VL is all damaged as well, so I suspect the contact was between Larry and Jim. Johnson's in big trouble here. John Bowe, clean of the Shell cars, he's in second place. Jones sitting watching brief in third. Glenn Seaton, his teammate in fourth. Now Johnson, this smoke really is starting to build up. That tyre's starting to get chopped out.
He won't have any difficulty smelling that. He'll be a worried boy. It's coming into the cab, and he'll be wondering just how far he can go.
Well, as we take our Dunlop race cam, there's Dick at work in the cockpit. The smoke you'll see is at the back of the car. They're coming off the outside.
There's Larry Perkins.
I think Larry has been discarding bodywork for the last lap and a half, and he has called it quits in the Castrol Commodore. He has a similar problem perhaps to Dick Johnson.
Well, there's been plenty of fisticuffs going on. We've got broken up bodywork just sitting at the front of our commentary position. The debris flags are out, so there's rubbish all over the track. It's pretty rough stuff in these opening laps.
Well, there's our commentary box. That's what's sitting directly opposite. They haven't got a chance to get to it. Now they do.
So Mazzera opens up a 2-second gap over Bowe. Two Peter Jackson cars holding station third and fourth. Johnson still hanging on in fifth with that smoke billowing from the back tyre. Neil Crompton
I tell you what,
Terry push through the field.
Terry Finnegan has been outstanding. He hasn't been up the front of the field, but in the Foodtown Commodore, he and Crompton have been having a great race as Johnson goes off. Tyre has popped.
If a tyre has gone, there would have been a very hairy ride for Dick. He's annoyed, as you would expect on the debut.
Let's have a look at the replay, what actually happened. There's Dick. He's lost it as they've gone over the top at Bitchapave Hill, and he's just plowed up the infield here at Amaroo Park, bringing the car to a stop out of harm's way, but it's not the way he wanted to start the championship. Here he comes, Mazzera, number 15, Holden Racing Team Commodore VP, Johnny Bowe in the Shell EB Falcon. That's the gap. Next will be Alan Jones as Bob Pearson, I think it is, in the Product Commodore.
Oh, three
Stacks on the mill. Can you believe this? 52's gone into the back of him, and Finnegan has gone into the back of 52.
Terry Finnegan will be absolutely shattered. Meanwhile, look at this. John Bowe has made up an enormous amount of ground on the Holden hero, Thomas Mazzera.
Now, that's what you call slipstreaming, Marquis, right there.
Well, now is not the time to jump out of the draft down here, boys. They've got the stacks on the mill. The red flag, I think, is going to come out.
Yeah, well, we expected that. The track is virtually blocked down there. Great danger for the competitors. Oh,
Bowe hasn't seen it. Okay, well, the red flags come out. We'll have a look at this on replay.
Terry Finnegan.
Have a look at this as we take our race cam. Is Peter Brock coming down to the bottom corner.
Whoa,
Oh,
wow.
thank you.
Oh, I don't know what that was all about.
The engines fire back into life. 10 seconds away from the start, and ready. Plenty of red tape there on the front of Jimmy Richards' car. At the head of the field, Thomas Mazzera ready for the restart of this. John Bowe starts alongside. Bow creeps just marginally, but Bow actually gets off the line better, gets away smartly. Glenn Seaton up on the inside, actually out-wrestles Alan Jones there. They are all at 6s and 7s. Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards getting away quickly too as we go to the top of Inchipave. Look at the traffic congestion. Crompton there and the GIO Commodore trying to force his path down on the inside. John Bow in front as they come out of Dunlop Loop and work their way down the back part of the course. There's Longhurst going through. He's back with the privateers as the V8s disappear downhill.
And Thomas Mazzera got extremely sideways coming through the core. He's had another tap.
There's another bumper bar.
More bodywork flying around. There's plenty of smoke back there too.
And there's Glenn Seaton, and look at Mark Scaife up quickly on the inside and pockets. Glenn Seaton.
Now we hear that the track surface down there at that corner is starting to break up, which is probably a reason behind some of the drama down there. The driver's certainly approaching with a bit more caution now.
Absolutely nothing in this. These fellows are really turning on the best they can. Mazzera's doing a superb job. Scaife is screaming away. Chewing, I think I was looking for the word, on his back bumper bar. And Glenn Seaton.
Whoa, very hard under brakes, and there's more body contact there. The front spoiler starts to come
Look
off
at Glenn Seaton. The Falcon comes down the outside. Now he's got to try and tuck in or either hang in here because here comes Mark Scaife.
So Scaife got pushed backwards, but he comes back, fights again. Bodywork missing from the cunt of the car. Seaton gets the power down, snaps sideways as he tries to accelerate out of the corner. Scaife still hangs on to that position. Boy, this is fierce stuff.
We take our 7 Sport race cam. This is riding with Tony Longhurst in the BMW. Coming up, to give you an idea of how quickly he closes at the top of Inchipave.
He's got one of the Commodores up in front of him. Looks like the Ashby Reed Lansvale Smasher car. And here's another view of the action.
This is Wayne Gardner, car number 16, working on Peter Brock. And here he comes down the inside as Brocky gets off the racetrack.
Whoop, Brock's off on the rough, gathers it up. That was, Brock was in position 7th, so Gardner takes 7 from him. Brocky drops back to 8th. And really, this is a very impressive performance from Wayne Gardner in his first touring car race.
Bob, there's Bob Jones. The Ampol Max to the max, said Bob, and there goes Alan Jones.
I wonder if someone's
He's trying to bring the front round again and drop the clutch.
He'll get back in as fast as he can.
In the meantime, as you can see, Thomas Mazzera has fallen. Here is a draft.
3 wide, more than 3. Plenty of fisticuffs going on here. Mazzera has been pushed back 3 positions. He won't be happy about that. Unbelievable. 3 cars wide coming under brakes into that corner.
Peter Brock has run into troubles here with 05. He parks to the left on the way to the lake corner. John Bow is about to go across and take the last lap forward, which he does now. As we follow in the battle for second, Mark Scaife, Jim Richards, and if there is a mover, look at car number 16, Wayne Gardner. He's picked this whole group up as they head up to the top. And look at... Just see who's on the door here of Glenn Seaton.
Bow's open to lead up to 10 seconds, but this is where the action is.
Now here's Glenn. He goes the inside of this lap car, and so too does Gardner.
Gardner's such a gutsy competitor. He's going to hang on here right to the dead.
This has been a run and a half. Gee, we've seen a close one. The last corner coming up. Ford Falcon is going to strike victory here today. John Bow of Tasmania brings the Dick Johnson number 18 car across the line, and he takes the win. Let's check them out for you on the Shell race score. John Bow, the race winner. Well done in the Shell Falcon EV. Mark Scaife second in the Winfield Commodore. Third was Jimmy Richards. Fourth, Glenn Seaton. And fifth, 16, Wayne Gardner, a bottler. Time to get the pedal to the metal, and Gardner gets off sideways in company with Scaife, who immediately moves across, and Gardner says, OK, down the outside. It worked last time. Let's see if it'll work this time. Down on the inside, Mark Scaife, and very, very brave under brakes is Wayne Gardner. He'll dab here. Alan Jones gets up on the inside. He's running in third. Thomas Mazzera is fourth, and on the inside of him, John Bow. Dick Johnson further back in the pack. As we look now from the sweeper, and sitting there in the draft is Wayne Gardner as they come down the back straight for the first time. There's the race. Mark Scaife, the Winfield Commodore, right behind him, Wayne Gardner. Then Alan Jones follows by Thomas Mazzera. Nothing in this one.
Nice clean start, almost an equal start from Scaife and Gardner. Scaife took it into the inside line and has held that position. We thought with the speed that Gardner showed in the Peter Jackson Dash this morning, he was going to walk this opening race, but no, Scaife seems to have him under control at the moment.
And now that long shot down the straightaway here to the left-hander at Bramble's hairpin.
They've got to be careful here. They can't afford to lock up brakes. We saw what happened to Larry Perkins yesterday with the brake lock-up. Go down to the canvas, blow your tire, and land up in the Simmons Plains outfield.
Talking about that, Peter Brock, he's had a little tap from behind by the look of it.
There she goes.
It's out of harm's way. A touch of Bridgestone, a little bit of blue, red and white. I'll tell you what, AJ won't take up with too much of this running left to right across your screen.
Well, he said after the dash that he was very confident in the pace of the Falcon in the back straight. I know Glenn commented in qualifying that he thought the Falcon, because it's got so much downforce, it probably had a bit more drag than the Commodores. But Jonesy was very confident in the amount of power Bo Seaton's getting from these Ford V8s.
He's also very determined to
Look
want
at
to
this.
win.
Look.
Oh, Gardner gets 2 wheels out on the grass, but he manages to gather it up.
He was good at motocross too, wasn't he, before he went
You
to
can
the
do that on a motorbike when they're a little skinnier, but these cars do require a certain amount of room.
Just had 2-litre cars just being lapped there. That's 7 laps after the start, to give you some idea of how quickly the V8s are rounded up the 2-litre cars. Oh, Alan Jones gives more than a little tap.
Get out of the way! Get out of the way!
That was a savage one. That was Parnelli Jones type driving. One tap, and if you're not out of my way, you just get another one.
I don't think there was too much backing off in the Peter
Look at
Jackson
this.
car. Now they're 3 wide as they come through the sweeper. 250 kilometres an hour. Wayne Gardner ducks down the inside of Alan Jones, and Thomas Mazera joins the battle up. So there's 3 of them locking brakes. This is incredible.
Alan Jones and Wayne Gardner.
Yes, he's not...
Oh, and there goes
Jones
Gardner.
is giving
Jones.
Gardner a tap as well.
Well, I don't disagree with that one. I think Gardner was absolutely cheeky there, and Jones was showing style of what won his world championship for him. Real aggressive driving.
And I think he's
if you want this track, take it from me, is what
Anyone
he's saying.
who's raced against Alan Jones said he's a very tough customer, and he certainly showed it there within about half a kilometre of each other.
Okay, let's take our Mobil 1 race cam as we ride with Peter Brock. Watch the level of concentration as only Brocky can deliver.
Straight through, snap gears, no synchros in these gearboxes. They just go click, click. Sounds as if Peter's not using the clutch, but that's the way this gearbox is designed. Very, very durable.
Time for our Dunlop race cam now. And here's our cockpit shot of Dickie Johnson, car number 17. Dick doesn't appear to be as intense behind the wheel as you've noticed with
Don't
Peter
judge a
Brock.
book by its cover, please, Michael. He's working. He's thinking about what he's doing. Started wearing sunglasses when he went over to America. I think he thought that was the Richard Petty style, so it was good enough for him. He's got a dark road in front of him with those glasses on.
Well, there's the gap he's trying to close.
We've got big problems here. Just as we say that, smoke just started to billow from the back of Larry's car.
Yeah.
Pouring from the back wheel. Would you make a...
I wouldn't want to guess at that one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to guess at that. Certainly wasn't a tire rubbing. John didn't touch him.
Just
he's got an onboard failure there somewhere.
Out of the turn. Final lap. Thomas Mazera has done a fabulous job running in second. Glenn Seaton unable to run with Mazera. Jones at this stage certainly has the pick of it in terms of horsepower. Really howling down through the sweeper.
Car looks good, nice and stable. Nice rake, Daytona rake as it's referred to, the slope towards the front. Just nice.
There's Thomas Mazera, runs in second. Third, of course, is Glenn Seaton. Next, of course, is Dick Johnson. Tony Longhurst coming up, and checkered flag time for AJ. He finally puts one together, comes across the line and takes the checkered flag. The winner of the opening race of round 2, the Shell Australian Championship over Thomas Mazera, and of course Glenn Seaton back in third.
Great run from the Formula Champ. Let's have a look how they finished. Alan Jones, of course, first. Thomas Mazera in second. Glenn Seaton held on to third. Dick Johnson grabbed fourth. And Peter Brock managed to hang on to fifth.
After the last heat, let me tell you, there was plenty of dialogue going on between Alan Jones and Mark Skaife. We can't play the audio to you, but I'll tell you, it was pretty cherry. And Mark really telling Alan about what he did, and you watch out, pal, and I tell you what, that's the way it went. Plenty of revving going on, and we get them off to a good start. Jones and Mazera side by side, and Mazera wins the start. And it is going to be pretty tight as they come up to the first corner. Make no mistake about that. Mazera's got the jump. Moving up smartly here on the outside is Johnson. Can he stop? Yes, he can. And Glenn Seaton's up on the inside of Alan Jones. At the back of the field, there's Wayne Gardner trying to get through. They head down towards the sweeper for the first time, and it's Mazera, the race leader. But the traffic, just have a look at it.
Here the V8's bouncing off the rev limiters as they come up through this 250-kilometre-hour sweeper. John Bowe looking fairly competitive as he moves up to the top 6 in these opening laps. And Alan, as you alluded to before with the HRT Commodore, those things are punching out plenty of black smoke. There's plenty of horsepower coming out of these cars.
They've reset the program, I think, for sure, because Alan Jones got a great start, but Mazera just powered by him and launched himself into first spot there into the first corner. Jones aggressive on his back bumper bar already, as is everybody else in the field.
And we go inside Peter Brock's Commodore VP with Mobil 1 race cam, working back through the gears as he swings into this very tough left-hander. Mark Scaife has already disposed of him, as we saw on the back straight.
Sitting right behind Brocky, and we'll see whether he mounts an attack at this stage. Will be Wayne Gardner in the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Well, Brocky started well, was inside the top 10 for this second race, but there's a few hot shots have got by him so far, and he's got another one sitting on his tail trying to make ground as well. Brocky checking out the mirror.
Glenn Seaton in big trouble here with the Peter Jackson Falcon. He slowed dramatically. We saw a puff of smoke from the car. You'd have to guess what that was as the field streams past. You'll see Seaton, there he is, off to the right-hand side as the field picks him up. That's a great disappointment for Seaton.
As Crompton now carrying our GIO race cam, has Jimmy Richards sitting in behind him. They come beneath the start-finishing line. That's how close they go to the guardrail there. Up on the inside to the left-hander at Brambles Hairpin.
These rear view pictures just show how dramatically drivers can get. Oh, look at that. Oh, almost. Oh, definitely touching. Can't call that almost touching.
And keep in mind, too, that both Larry's car and Neil's car are Holden V8 powered. As the Chev car, he's going to hold on to him. This is hard under brakes. He's got the line. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And here's Scaife trying to get under Richards at the same time.
There's a little bit of impact there as Richards tries to get back on the racing line through that tight left-hander.
They head off. There goes Longhurst in the BMW as they come up for one more shot here at Perkins. Now Crompton's caught himself wide here, and Richards is up on the inside of him.
Oh, Larry's had a big lock up there. And
Neil, he was as polite as he could, and Jim was as polite as he could. I think Neil allowed that door to be open just for a fraction of a second, and Jim said, "Thank you very much, Neil, I'll take it."
We'll keep an eye on Gardner here. Watch this. Crompton's keeping Scaife down the inside. Gardner straight down the outside. Knew that wouldn't happen.
Oh, look at Scaife's car screwing under brakes. Richards, oh, it's so tight. Crompton gets caught in the Winfield sandwich. His spoilers come loose.
Now Crompton starts to move up just a touch. Wayne Gardner was much closer a lap or so back. He moves up on Crompton's tail now.
Keep in mind there's 4 cars ahead of this incredible battle. Still Thomas Mazera leading the... Oh, and Larry's gone offline.
Yeah, start of the lockup, and with the lockup like that, he'll go wide.
Squeeze Gardner.
Steers off the track, and that's all that Jim needed. Just a momentary lapse there, and it can't do that. If your brakes lock up, you lose control.
That's done Wayne Gardner no favours. Brock moves up on the tail of his car in the Mobil 1 VP Commodore.
You can't ignore the performances of the 1,050 kilo BMWs there, hanging onto the back of the V8s on what is a power circuit. So the gap from first to second, Thomas Mazera to Alan Jones, is 1.38 seconds, and the gap from second to third, 5.6 seconds, the 2 Shell Falcons. So,
and Gardner says, hang on, how can this happen? And this is back from Peter Brock's race cam. That's Longhurst behind him. Let's go back to Longhurst. That's what the view looks from the other side.
Oh, yeah.
As he
closed dramatically.
Oh, there's a bit of...
something flew.
A few more broken parts falling off Larry's Commodore.
Well, Longhurst is up there on the inside, and he's trying to get behind Brock and squash Larry out. And look at Paul Morris coming on now in the Diet Coke BMW. They're coming up on John Smith, this group.
Larry threads the needle. Boy, oh boy.
There's Tony now with the outside run. He'll bring her in tight, flow through that left-hander.
And Paul Morris will get maybe to the inside as they exit this turn. So Paul's pretty close there in the Diet Coke BMW. And the pressure is mounting on Thomas. And the man mounting the pressure would be very comfortable at this stage. They're coming up to the Bramble Shipping hairpin turn. Here comes Jones. Moment of truth for Thomas Mazera. Jones through.
Oh, he gets it sideways.
Careful.
He's gone.
A calculated risk. He pulled it off. Well, a very nicely paced race throughout the day, bearing in mind they had to judge their tires to do this, Mike. It's not a lay-down misère. There's Glenn Seton looking at his teammate, a very happy boy as well, genuinely enthused about Alan's run.
Well, if he can't win today, this man should. Last turn, Glenn Seton's happy. So are all the Ford fans, because it's checkered flag time for our ex-Formula 1 champion, Alan Jones. He gets across the line. Here's Thomas Mazera in for second. Dickie Johnson will take third on the run to the flag. Who will get fourth? It's John Bower, and fifth will be Jimmy Richards, sixth, Mark Scaife. Let's recap those for you on the Shell race score. Alan Jones, the winner. Both heats here today at Symmons Plains. Thomas Mazera in second spot, John Bower in third, Dick Johnson in fourth, and Jim Richards showing as fifth placeman. A great looking field, a great day here at Phillip Island. Plenty of atmosphere. That's Larry Perkins and the brand spanking new Castrol VP Commodore about 10 seconds away from the start. So get set, Australia. The V8s are ready to roar at Phillip Island. Revs are up. Flags down. Seton and Johnson side by side. Bow, the best start of the lot of them. Bow split a couple of cars in the start as they rush down beneath the Dunlop Bridge and look for JB in the second Falcon, and here he is trying to split them as Johnson leads Glenn Seton into the first turn, and Perkins up on the outside. The two Winfield Commodores go through, and nestled somewhere in there is Wayne Gardner as well. What a start.
Well, they're all looking for this second corner, Mike. It was all right to get off through the first corner, but this second loop is important to the run up to Honda corner. And as such, Larry made a very nice move there.
Isn't it great on the inside? John Bower is really keeping the pressure on. I think he's going for it, and he is up to third.
And also keep your eyes back there in the pack. Alan Jones in the second Peter Jackson Falcon had a disaster in qualifying yesterday with a split rim which had a deflating tyre. He pushed him back to ninth on the grid, but boy, is he going to be on a charge here, and he's already up in the top six, it looks like, as they come around the first part of this first lap.
Well, this is Siberia, as they like to call it, when on a cold day here it feels just like Siberia.
Exactly.
So it's Johnson, Seton, teammate Bow, Larry Perkins, Thomas Mazera, Wayne Gardner coming at a challenge from Peter Brock and the new Commodore VP. That's the order as they sweep around toward the corner onto the main straight. The big Shell sweeper, 270 kilometres an hour as they come onto the main straight for the first time.
Listen to the sound of the Aussie V8. Some would say also the American V8s. They exit the turn. It's time now for Glenn Seton. Down on the inside of Johnson, 280 clicks straight under the bridge into the right-hander.
He's not there yet. Dick's got the inside running here. Glenn's got to go. Whoa! He's done well. Very sporting driving there. Dick Johnson knew he was nailed, let him go. Here we come. Nice view out of Dick's roof with Dunlop Race Cam. Here's John Bow saying, boss, I want a piece of this action.
Larry Perkins looks like he's going to have a look down the inside as well as they head down to Siberia for the second time.
Yeah. John got badly shafted in the draw this morning for the Peter Jackson Dash, going off the front row down to the back, and he's saying, I don't want any of this.
What's this? Alan Jones down the inside, pushes Thomas Mazera wide. Alan Jones said this in qualifying yesterday. He was very upset about that deflating tyre, but he knew he had a great race set up, and he's proving it here now as he picks his way through the Holdens. Two Winfield Commodores follow them across the line as they come onto our speed crown, but just an idea of how quick they are.
Notice they're already amongst some of the 2-litre cars as our race leader, Glenn Seton, reels one more off in the Peter Jackson Falcon V8. Here he comes down the front straight. There's the gap back to John Bow. There's the second 2-litre. Watch this. There's one sign going west. And it's gone. That's the winner of the Sundash earlier today. It's gone.
Here's Larry.
There's Larry, a little sideways. Not going to do the best for the tyres. Let's put a little more heat than he really needed in them.
Can't break later than that. But he's hung on to it. Hung on to it well.
But that has enabled Mazera to get up and try and catch a draft here as they come through the Shell sweeper. They have 5 laps to go this time.
This really is the absorbing technical battle amongst the Holdens. Larry running the Holden stock block V8. And the Holden Racing Team Commodore running the Chev American-based engine.
This is close. There's a lap car on the inside. Mazera tries to find the gap between them.
Larry's got the place to be. Oh, they've touched. They've more than touched battles.
Nasty.
Plenty of tyre
Mazera.
One of them had to go. One of them had to go.
And he's into the ditch. Well.
Well, he held it nicely, Thomas. And Kate, you can relax. He's okay.
Race leader Glenn Seton through the Shell sweeper.
4 laps to go for Glenn Seaton, all coming together for him today. There's the gap back to John Bower. Dick Johnson has closed up behind his team partner. Alan Jones is out to 2 car lengths back behind the parent.
Yep.
As we take mobile race cam as we ride with Peter Brock, Mazera is back to 13th after that drop on the approach to the loop.
Here we hear Brocky going through that 6-speed gearbox. Lenny a little wants to let the car fade here. This is tight. Keeps tightening. Look at his hands on the steering wheel. It never quite stops. Straightens up just for a second. Down through the gears. Into the dip. Right-hander. Let the car flow through. There, a little bit of oversteer. It's all right. Got it back under control. Left-hander. Short straight on the approach to the main straight.
This is getting tight because Gardner is closing on Brock. They've got 3 laps to go. And Gardner's starting to come into it, although he was a little sideways on the exit to the Shell sweeper. That's the closest he's been to the tail of Brock's car as they scoot beneath the Dunlop Bridge and come down to the right-hander on the way to the loop. So will Brocky be able to mount a challenge inside or outside Larry Perkins? And what about Wayne Gardner? Well, there's the gap. There's Dick Johnson just going through. And a long gap then back to Alan Jones in car number 35 to the top of the hill. Just picks up the inside wheel as he thunders over the top. JB gets a little closer on the downside of that now through the right-hander. On the approach now to the Shell sweeper. And here comes Glenn Seaton, the Ford Falcon V8. Good day for Ford here so far. Coming into the last turn now. The exit. And now the checkered flag is ready for Glenn Seaton. He's going to lead 4 Falcons across the line. And here comes Seaton. The young Victorian takes heat number 1 this afternoon over 16 laps at Phillip Island. John Bower gets across the line in second. There goes Johnson in third. And then we have to look up the straight as we await the arrival of Alan Jones in car number 35. Well done, Glenn Seaton. That was no easy race as Larry Perkins and Peter Brock get across the line, followed by Wayne Gardner. He had to fight for it, and he had to take the inside advantage to do it. Let's recap them for you. Glenn Seaton, the race winner in the Peter Jackson Falcon EB over John Bower on the Shell Falcon. Third was Dick Johnson, followed by Alan Jones, and Larry Perkins rounded out the 5. 10 seconds away from the start. Heat number 2 at Phillip Island. Glenn Seaton, car number 30, the Peter Jackson Falcon. And right alongside him, John Bower. It's Seaton off the line, but Bower picks up another gear and takes the lead. As they go beneath the bridge, it looks like Neil Crompton has stalled on the starting line in the GIO Australia car. But it's John Bower who will lead them down this Crompton's GIO number 7 car as they sweep down towards the loop for the first time. Perkins got away to a reasonable start, not a good start by his standards, and JB takes command. Glenn Seaton in second, Johnson is third, and it looks like Wayne Gardner may have made it up there in company with Thomas Mazera as they sweep through the loop, and the little BMW there of Tony Longhurst is in contention.
Yes, he is, Mike, and that's where paying dividends from the first heat. A good finish in the first heat gave him a good starting point, or a better starting point than he had earlier. And here we have
Alan Jones, and Jones has made contact, has he? Is 16 sitting there, and that of course is Wayne Gardner. I notice a whole group of cars coming together in that bottom corner, so Gardner.
The John Bower will lead them round. Glenn Seaton in second position. Dick Johnson completes the Shell sandwich.
Let's have a look as we take our race cam. Exactly what happened here. Alan Jones getting a back wheel up on the curb.
Well, I think he tried to avoid him.
That
Might have been one of those.
And Seaton already showing that he wants to go to the front and lead this one. But he'll have a hard man in front, John Bower. He won't leave too many gaps open. Oh, we've had one back here, Peter Brock and Larry Perkins getting together. The crowd loved that. Not quite sure if Brocky did. There's the rest of the little bimmers going through. As John Bower sees car number 30, Glenn Seaton, go up the inside of him to take over the lead. There's third, Dick Johnson, and fourth is Alan Jones, our ex-Formula 1 champion. And the gap from first to second is 3.26 seconds as Jones gets up on the inside. Race cam shows it. Jones up here pressuring away on the inside and takes third spot. Here's Gardner coming in for his stop. He's telling, and he doesn't look very happy at all, Wayne. No. That almost...
He dropped the clutch in front of the start-finish line here, revving the backside off those tires.
No, as Alan has pointed out, JB's doing a bit of defensive stuff here, because you notice they were able to run away and hide virtually from Dick Johnson. And since Jones caught the pair of them, split them, and now sits in behind Bauer, he has been unable to do anything with it.
Well, he's getting close now. He's starting to get into Parnelli Jones territory again. Just to think about a tap. A tap and just let him know that he's serious about it.
We did see what seemed like hundreds of kilometres of bumper-to-bumper racing with John Bauer in the Sierra and Tony Longhurst in the BMW last year, and really got an excellent graphic illustration of JB's racecraft. And he's one of the most aggressive racers around. So him and AJ, there's sure to be fireworks as the race develops.
He doesn't succumb to pressure, and Alan Jones is quite capable of exerting plenty of it. But this could go to the wire.
Sure,
Alan just can't quite find the point.
Stand by. I think you might have a challenge coming on here. This is the closest he's been right across the line. There's Seaton. He's your race leader, and here comes a lap car. Stay to the left, because here comes Jonesy down the outside.
Still not
pedal
enough
to the
time.
floor.
No, and he's going to wind up here behind Peter Dillman. No, he makes it. So Alan Jones gives the PJ team a 1-2. Dunlop race cam. Dickie Johnson, Pride of Queensland, in the cockpit. How's it go, Dick?
Yeah, okay.
How's it going, Dick?
Oh, still going.
Yeah, I know that. Back to, what, 4th?
Yeah, I've got to shuffle back a bit, but, you know, that's obviously the nature of the way our cars are. We're not making any excuses. Like the Peter Jackson cars are going terrific.
How much do you think the horsepower deficit is between the two teams at the moment?
Well, I think it comes down basically to the amount of testing they do here, and they've obviously got a very good setup, and their tyres are working very well here. I think they're lucky it was a cool day.
Yeah, that's a plug for your rivals. Now, when you go to Queensland or Lakeside for the next round, you should have the wood on most of them.
Well, I think I hope so, Mike, because I'd really like to win in Queensland.
Oops.
Trouble here for Larry Perkins, who's slowing. That's bad luck, because he has been an outstanding performer here today in the Castrol number 11 car.
That's a pity.
And in the meantime, car number 30, Glenn Seaton, headed for the top end of the circuit near Lukey Heights. Jones closing a little as Glenn backs it into conserve mode here for the last couple of turns. Might be looking at a little close form finish, but keep in mind JB's only a couple of car lengths.
Too formish.
He's closing hand over fist in this last quarter of a lap.
He certainly is. They're heading up to the Shell Sweeper now for the final time. Car number 30, Glenn Seaton. Well, if the fans came expecting a Ford victory at Phillip Island today, here's a very happy team as they wait for their driver. Bo Seaton waits for his son Glenn Seaton. They come out of the final turn, and Glenn Seaton in car number 30, followed by Alan Jones, as they come down to the line side by side almost for that beautiful form finish. They've done it here today at Phillip Island. John Bauer takes 3rd, Dick Johnson takes 4th, and a long way back to 5th and 6th. So Glenn Seaton, car number 30, the Peter Jackson Team Falcon, wins from teammate Alan Jones. There's confirmation for you on the Shell scoreboard. John Bauer places in 3rd, Dick Johnson 4th, and the first hold at home was Thomas Mazira in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. A fabulous 1-2 for Glenn Seaton, Alan Jones and the Peter Jackson team at Phillip Island. And what about that crowd? Just under 30,000 spectators. So, championship points after 3 rounds. Seaton the leader on 61, 4 clear of Alan Jones and John Bauer tied for 2nd, with Dick Johnson 4th, Thomas Mazira 5th and Mark Scaife in 6th. Next stop, Brisbane's Lakeside Raceway, real DJ and AJ territory. Get set, the start of round 4, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship from Lakeside. Racing, Jones clearly the winner off the line. And that really affected Glenn Seaton. Got away, and we've had one stall on the line. It's one of the Winfield Commodores as we pick up Alan Jones leading John Bauer, Dick Johnson down into the first right-hander. Also a good start there from Peter Brock in the mobile car. Jimmy Richards has stalled. Car number 2, and the crowd are giving Richards a huge hoot as they all get through Yokohama for the first time and come down towards the Dunlop Bridge. You can probably hear the fans in the background as they sweep beneath the bridge. The 2 Shell Falcons going after AJ. Great shot down the hungry corner for the first time. Brock made a good start. Thomas Mazira's right behind him, and Tony Longhurst is in the thick of it. John Bauer made a move and let Johnson through on the inside, and Brock just muscles up and puts Bauer out of play. And at the same time, Mazira comes down the inside. Gee whiz.
John Bower couldn't have selected reverse gear better. Watch this, they blow by them on the outside. We take Peter Brock's race cam, courtesy Mobil 1. They head up the hill again. So we've got just about the action covered for you here. Brocky sitting in third. We've also got a camera in Dick Johnson's car running there in second behind Alan Jones. And see if Brock can make up some ground down here.
This is as tight as we've seen it all season. 1, 2, 3 within a blanket. Going to be a real scrap here over 28 laps.
This is third, fourth and fifth. Mazzera, Bow, then Glenn Seaton and Tony Longhurst sitting in behind. Is it going to be a giant killer day? Hand goes out the window. Mazzera has a problem.
He's smoking.
I detected that a couple of laps back, so he's headed for the pits. Hasn't been the best of weekends for the Telecom MobileNet team. Well, 75, one of the Toyota Corollas, that's Frank Binding, has gone off. Frank was out of that in a hurry, let me tell you. We take our Dunlop race cam. Dick Johnson hounding now race leader Alan Jones over the top and down the roller coaster now to the right-hander.
We're on Dick Johnson's home turn. He's been through this corner 1,001 times. Could drive the circuit with his eyes closed. I think he's fair to say he's got Jones in his sight.
It's Dick Johnson.
Oh, this is great, this battle up front,
isn't it? Making overtures as though he wants to lead this in front of hometown crowd. Johnson gets up the inside. Jones just went a little offline. Now watch Brock. Brock has got all excited about this, looking at picking up second, so Jones is going to sit and harass Johnson now. And listen to the crowd, they love it. The locals in front. They had one go in. Larry Perkins has gone in at the carousel in car number 11. But fortunately, he hasn't made contact. Or yes, he has, just with a couple of the tyres, so it was a soft landing.
Listen for the cheer as they come around here onto the home straight with Dick Johnson in front.
It's like Peter Brock there with crack to the windscreen in the Mobil 1 Commodore as he follows this draft down the front straight. Oh yes, the crowd love this.
Well, they've all got laminated screens by regulation. There's no way that's any danger to Brocky. In fact, anybody serious about their health, long-term health, should always have a laminated windscreen.
He might need a laminated rear here in a moment. He's working Alan Jones over pretty well, let me tell you.
I think Alan missed a gear in the middle of the carousel, or he just went a little bit wide under brakes, but Dick Johnson didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a millisecond.
Oh, trouble here for Mark Scaife in car number 1 on the entrance to the carousel, and he's put it around sideways. Not the best so far for the Winfield team. Jim Richards' car is out of this race, and Scaife has had a spin. We take our Dunlop race cam. Shows you how busy it is, and Alan, you might like to explain for us.
Yes, this is the telemetry coming from Dick Johnson's dashboard, local Queensland company, the electronics company that have been working with him. He's got his foot on the brake. The revs have gone down to 4,000, 5,000. Now he's accelerating up, 6,000 RPM. You can see the speed, almost 200 kph. Just a tap of the brakes as he came onto the straight. He's in 4th gear, up to 5th, up to 250 kilometers. He's up to 7 and a bit. Might have just touched the rev limiter there when you saw the needle go to 7.5. They're almost 275k as he hits the carousel. KPA down to just over 100. He's feathering his way through. Up, more acceleration. 6, 7, 5. Quick change. You hear that, just that little click on that Hollinger 6-speed gearbox. He's only using 5 of those gears around the top of the back straight there. Watch for the brake light to come on in a second. There she goes, down to 3rd. Left-hander up the hill, accelerating again. Almost max rev, 7.75. Brake for the right-hander. Down only a little over 100 around the corner. And down the hill, we'll see the revs go up again. 6, 7, 7.5. Change. Brake, tap onto the main straight. He's in 4th gear. Already doing over 200k. Here's the pits on the right. He would have looked at his signal. Go, boys, go, is what the pit crew are saying to him. Watch the judgment here. A nasty bump on the left hand. Not coming up. The camera's isolated. I don't know, Mike, is that in a gyro camera? It didn't show the bump, but it's a real nervy corner.
Last lap forward. 1 to go. Dick Johnson of Queensland leads this one. Colin Bond breaking the gap. So a couple of lap cars now between Dick Johnson and Alan Jones. Is the exit to the carousel, and Johnson, wait for him as he comes over the top.
Yes, I think Alan Jones buttoned off a bit as well, Mike. but a great drive by Dick Johnson. It might be his home circuit, but give him a half a go and he'd take advantage of it.
Had the Ashby Reed car coming up to have a lap put on it by Dick Johnson. Johnson to the top of the hill, goes on the inside of Heffernan's car. Now the run downhill. I tell you, this is going to be a popular win. There's an enormous crowd here at Lakeside today. They've come to see one of 3 Queenslanders in the outright class win. They're going to get a dividend because Dick Johnson, car number 17 for the Shell team, across the line. He takes heat number 1 with our Shell race draw. Well done, Dickie Johnson. A win here today. Jones finishes in second, Brock third, Bow fourth, Seaton fifth, and there's more action to come. Jones won the start in the first one and got across the side of the road. Can he do the same in the second? Off the line, yes. Away goes Jones. Bow down the outside at this stage of Dick Johnson as they head down to the carousel for the first time. And look at Jones getting across to the inside. Tony Longhurst, a brilliant start, and also a good one from Peter Brock with Glenn Seaton right behind him as they go into the first turn. The exit to the carousel. AJ leading from John Bow, Dick Johnson, then Peter Brock. We've got a real Holden versus Ford war going here at Lakeside as they come down to the bridge.
Dick Johnson had the 2 starts. He had 1 and a bit, a long red light, and it cost him the start. A brilliant start by Alan Jones. Bow took advantage of Dick's stutter, if you like, on the line.
Oh, there's Seaton just dabbing the brakes as he tried to get inside of Brock. They're coming up on a lap car that'll stay to the left. One of the Toyota Corollas. There's the speed difference.
He's just about as close as he can be to Brocky, and just doesn't seem to have enough snap. The gearing must be very similar on these 2 cars. A lot of talk about how superior the Fords are in this series so far this year, but Brocky's certainly giving them a run in his Commodore today.
And look at Seaton. He is just all over the tail of Peter Brock. And Longhurst, while ever Brock can hold Seaton up, has got a chance here of maybe getting a run through if Seaton is able to find a gap here on Brock. It looks like one of the Diet Coke BMWs, the 24 car I think it was, in strife there, Jeff Fall, has parked it up against the concrete wall on the run to the Shell corner.
Well, nobody making any mistakes coming onto the straight. Quite a difficult corner to get as much speed as they can down the straight. Get maximum RPM down the main straight. Glenn really now trying to harass Brock.
Thomas Mazzera, a non-starter.
Here we go.
Oh, beautiful pass there. Race cam on the Mobil 1 Commodore of Peter Brock showed it, and that's exactly what I thought would happen.
Tony wasn't asleep. He thought he saw an opportunity, and a very smart move on his part.
The thing that is interesting here, Johnson still tailing John Bow, but you'll notice that Glenn Seaton has been able to pull up on the tail of them. He's gaining on them rapidly, and Gardner is gaining on the tail of Tony Longhurst and Peter Brock.
Yes, I don't think there's any doubt about the fact that Brock held Seaton at bay for a number of laps there, and in the process, Longhurst.
GIO race cam, Neil Crompton's car, Larry Perkins right on his hammer. Nudge, nudge almost.
Under the Dunlop Bridge. And room, oh, there he goes on the inside at Hungry Corner, and this is one of the Winfield cars.
Must be Mark Scaife,
No,
is it?
that didn't work.
Not enough room.
Jimmy Richard and Mark Scaife still out there circulating.
This is only Larry's second run in this car, the new VP, and not as happy with his chassis setup in practice and in qualifying. Very undulating.
That's where you can notice that bump in the kink, isn't it? Where you can see race cam out the back.
Out the back you see the undulations for sure. Oh, I can't get any closer than this. He's going to take that GIO sign off in a minute.
Yes.
There's Mr. Beta, a computer company in Melbourne supporting Perkins Engineering.
So Crompton doing a good job on the run down to Hungry Corner. Larry's made a couple of dives here under brakes before. And they pass another of the cars on the outside coming up to the right-hander that crests the hill here. That's that group that we've been following. Crompton, of course, followed by Larry Perkins and the Castrol machine, and then the Winfield Commodore. But up front, AJ.
Seems to have them at bay. There's quite a gap between him and John Bow. Shell Fords can't seem to close on him.
Look at Falcons 1 to 4. BMW running 5th.
Johnson carries our Dunlop race cam. He makes the exit to come on to the start finishing straight here at Lakeside. Goes past our commentary box into the left-hander, full tilt at about 280 kilometres an hour, down through the gears to the right-hander. And that's what the view looks like from the roof of Johnson's Shell Falcon.
Up onto the back straight. Bit of traffic in front. Some decisions here past the slow car. I love the look of these Shell cars, particularly when they're running 1-2 like that on the track. They look dazzling in the flesh, but on camera, real mean machines. Here we go, down the hill again on Dunlop race cam. Fade to the right, let it drift left, up a couple of gears on the straight. Dick will be looking in the rear view now, keeping his eye on Seaton to make sure he's not trying to pull a shifty through the kink. Have to be very brave to do it. But Glenn does seem to close really dramatically under brakes into the carousel.
They've got 4 laps to go now. Heffernan about to be passed one more time. He hugs to the inside. Look at Seaton.
Oh, Dick with his hand out the window saying, Gugala. This guy's in the race as well.
Yeah, he's trying to have his race. Twigden. Well, Twigden is...
He didn't twig quite quick enough.
He didn't twig, and he flashed right across in front of Tony, so that just spoiled about another 50-metre gain.
The girls from Shell love this. Come on, Dick, they're cheering him on.
I hope they're cheering for Alan Jones as well. The exit to Hungary Corner, now up to the top of the hill for the final time. Tony Longhurst has thrown everything at these cars today. Horsepower has beaten him. Last corner is coming up. Well, he won the World Formula One Championship a week ago. He won the Bathurst 12-hour, and today he strikes gold. Once again at Lakeside, Alan Jones takes the win. Let's check them out on the Shell race score. Well done, Alan Jones. He just keeps on winning. Dick Johnson finished second. John Bower was third. Glenn Seaton fourth. And Tony Longhurst fifth.
Ready to go at Winton. Off the line. Goodbye, says Glenn. And there goes Alan Jones down on the grass. Tries to get a start. Wayne Gardner in amongst all that lot. As Seaton will lead him into the first turn. Johnson dropping into second. Mark Scaife was up smartly into third. We've had one go round. It could be Gardner in the middle of the pack.
There's 2 of them in the dust bag. I saw HRT there somewhere.
Well, they're trying to square it up as they go through the turn. That dust bowl there, and one stalled in the middle of the good. Now he gets going, does it? Gardner does a full 360 and lights up the bags. The crowds thought that was marvellous. But that is an expensive day so far for the Holden Racing team. Mazera going off in the dash and Gardner not making the first turn.
Well, a great start by Glenn Seaton. Dick actually jumped the start. He thought better of it. Here's another one in the dust. Smearden, the Protec Commodore.
Yep. Well, he's back and running as John Bower tries to make up a little ground of Mark Scaife. And for Holden fans, Mark Scaife and the Winfield Commodore is now up to third, holding John Bower at bay, and Alan Jones in 35. You'll see a very aggressive Alan Jones work his way to the inside as they come out of that corner. Has he got enough acceleration? Scaife stays to the outside, now closes the options off as they head down into the first turn. Order unchanged. Well, one's gone off down there, and I think it could have been Johnson. In fact, it is. Dick Johnson, car number 17, is limping through the bottom corner.
Well, that turn 1 has really been taking its casualties today, Mike. We've had all sorts of incidents. Real Congo line here.
That's a good description of it too, Alan, the Congo line. John Bower, the 18 car. Alan Jones sits right on his tail. Then it's Thomas Mazera. Tony Longhurst, a good start. Brocky is there, so too Jim Richards. Neil Crompton there, the GIO car, not too far in arrears to them. And Larry Perkins, it looks like one of the B&H cars has gone off. Car number 20.
Holding it nicely. A big swooper here. Gradual left-hander. 4th gear. Floating the car. Tightens up here. Jab of the brakes for a tight right-hander. Still holding that Shell Falcon at bay. A right-hander. Another jab on the accelerator down to the right-hander here. I got my rights and my lefts mixed up there. Right-hander here onto the main straight.
Oops!
I've had enough of it.
Watch out for Jonesy! And Jonesy finishes off Thomas Mazera. Scaife goes around. Brock tries to get back through the infield. Alan Jones has had a problem. Here's a replay, as you can see. Bow gives him a tap.
Well, he doesn't back off, Mike. It's more than a tap. He's laid into him and just constantly pushed him. There's Mark Skaife looking out the window saying, "What the hell are you doing, mate?"
So JB gets him around. Brock goes for the infield.
Brocky lucky to miss him.
Alan Jones on his way back to the pits at Winton Raceway puts the jacket on. His first heat is done as Neil Crompton and the GIO Australia Commodore is holding Larry Perkins at bay. Peter Brock is right behind them. He survived that bump and grind coming out of Tooheys Corner.
Well, this is a scrap of scraps we've had, I think, just about as dicey in all the 4 rounds. But Winton always forecast that things would be tight here. It's impossible for people to get too far away, although Glenn Seaton certainly having a dream run in that respect.
This is the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th as Perkins looks down the inside of the GIO car. Can't do anything about it.
Very hard to drive this close to, Mike. He really is using all his metal and extremely hard on Larry and Brock to be able to drive that close to a car in front of you and not touch him. The headline being not touching.
That's true. Larry has been diving to the inside, then to the outside, just eases out a little bit, no contact. You can see the front of Larry's car is still totally intact. No bumps there. But it must be coming frustrating. He's trying to say to Crompton, come on, come on.
Bit of a tap there.
Get up, says Crompton, and Perkins says, that should fire Larry on. He runs across.
Oh, yes. Now, there was a little bit of, I told you so. Neil lost his cool.
Oh, there's one that's gone off the Diet Coke car just on the exit.
Jeff Fool.
Yep.
Have a little problem coming up through the S's there.
Along the start, finishing straight. John Bow. Tony Longhurst is all over him like a crook suit. There's not much he can do about it because that Falcon seems to have got wider.
Well, it's not that it's actually got any wider, Mike, but he's definitely, if Tony makes the mistake of going up alongside John, John will just turn left or right, whatever suits him. And it will be at Tony's peril. He can make this look good, and he can make it look frustrating, but in reality, he's running 3rd, John Bow's in 2nd, and there isn't going to be much he's going to be able to do about it.
Well, if you're in the Bimmer, what's the only part of the track you believe you'd have a shot at him? On the inside of the first turn?
No, well, he's got to actually cut this hairpin and try and slingshot himself down the main straight and pull out of the slipstream. He's doing everything he can. I mean, we don't have to ask whether Tony Longhurst has got driving credentials, but it's just one of the, here he comes. But at his peril, because that Falcon will just slice that BMW right in 2.
Now, isn't this a scrap? This is Brocky. Dick Johnson trying to clear him through the field. Looks like Wayne Gardner in amongst them, who got around sideways in the first turn, has made up an awful amount of ground.
Well, Brock still not been able to get by Perkins. Another determined fellow when it's a question of letting anybody by. You pass Larry Perkins, you don't get given any opportunities. But Johnson, a superb drive coming back from 19th, back up onto the tail of this group.
And Wayne Gardner's run to join Johnson. He's been held up just marginally by Peter Brock. There's Gardner going through and John Smith in the number 6. Here we have John Bow still running in 2nd. Tony Longhurst is in 3rd spot. That has unchanged over the past 10 laps. And John just making certain that the Winton track is just a touch narrower for Tony to work with. So they come out onto the back straight now for the final time. Glenn Seaton is already at the end of the back straight, and here he comes, car number 30. What looked like being a rather dismal day after drawing 6. He finished 2nd in the dash. And the baby-faced assassin strikes at Winton, heat number 1. Glenn Seaton. Let's check them out for you on the Shell Racecourse. Seaton the winner, and that puts him to the top of the championship point standings. John Bow finishes in 2nd. Tony Longhurst 3rd, Jimmy Richards 4th, and Paul Morris 5th. 10 seconds away from the start now. Red lights on. Shortly turn to green. They're racing. Heat number 2. Longhurst, like a blitzer off the line, moves straight across to the inside. Seaton muffed that badly. And moving up to the outside, it's Paul Morris. And he's in the middle of a BMW sandwich as Richards tokes it down on the inside, looking for 3rd place. Gets Morris sideways, so Morris goes off the racing circuit. Fairly adventurous in that first corner, and he'll now go to the back of the field. He'll come back out onto the racetrack, and that's exactly where he's running. Dead, motherless last, 23. Bad shot there. 2 have already gone off the circuit elsewhere. We'll pick them up later, 2 of the 2-litre cars.
as they head up to Tooheys Corner with Longhurst leading and Glenn Seaton just sitting in behind. There's 24 full getting back on the field and also 36.
Well, plenty of action from the BMW team, and Longhurst an absolute immaculate start. I don't think Glenn got a bad start, but that BMW just slingshotted itself off the line like something we've never seen before. Here's Glenn letting him know he's in the act. This will be interesting. This will be it.
Down on the inside, the crowd just screaming to see the Ford, and plenty of opposite lock. They have gone berserk along the straight as Seaton takes command. They believe that's probably where he should be. There's another one. 20 is also out. He received a bump on the way through John Blanchard, the second of the B&H BMW. It hasn't been the best of races so far for them.
So plenty of aggression coming out of the Mobil 05 car, and Jim Richards holding an old partner at bay. Jim Richards and Peter Brock, 3 times Bathurst winners together. Nice move there by Brocky.
Certainly was. Alan Jones coming back out on the circuit. He went a little bit on the wide side, so he's dropped 1 spot.
Looks untidy in the middle of the corner, but that's only because he's trying to get positioning on Crompton, and he does it. Very nice. Jones says, I'll have a piece of that as well.
So Jones down the inside of Crompton. Crompton tries to hang it, and watch Bow get through here. So Neil May, whoops, almost a touch there. Neil's had to nobble him here on the inside, and John Bow still trying to finish off the job.
Very exciting racing, professional racing at its best here. Australian Touring Car Championship stuff.
Bow behind Crompton, and Jones working all over Mark Scaife. Coming up to Tooheys Corner again. Race still being led by Glenn Seaton, still the same distance back to Tony Longhurst in 2nd spot. Peter Brock runs in 3rd, Jim Richards in 4th, and 5th is Dick Johnson.
And Dillman out in the Impala Kitchens BMW. That's a rare mechanical fault for Dillman.
Seaton goes across the line by about 4 car lengths to Tony Longhurst. 3rd spot, and that's out to considerable length is Peter Brock, who runs in 3rd. 4th is Jimmy Richards. 5th is Dick Johnson. 6th spot is held by Mark Scaife, and 7th by Alan Jones. And moment of truth as Jonesy and the crowd jumps up in the bottom turn. They've been following this, guys, for 6 or 7 laps, as you have at home. So Jonesy gets through, and he now moves to 6th.
He was just there at the right time. Mark Scaife had just a slight lose coming up onto the pit straight, and that's all Alan Jones needed. He got under him parallel, nailed him under brakes, and has now, ooh, careful mate, locking up a brake of his own. AJ
wants to get on with this, and Dick is just keeping the ground open as Johnson now finds Jones, the aggressor, down on the inside. Perfect driving.
Championship style.
So that it's still on for young and old between these two as they go across the line, but Seaton is already clear. Seaton has taken the last lap board, and the number 30 car still leading from Tony Longhurst in 25.
Watching Longhurst run around here, Mike, reminds me of my Peter Stuyvesant RX-7 days, where you can really be lethal with a tough, tight handling little car.
Sure can be, particularly on a circuit like Winton. Up here to the right-hander. Jim floats it in. There's not much he can do about Peter Brock.
Trying to position himself.
Here he comes. Glenn Seaton, car number 30. Getting the checkered flag ready. Boy, oh boy, what a performance today at Winton. The kid does it again. Car number 30 across the line. Glenn Seaton takes the championship round today. Tony Longhurst finishes 2nd in the 2nd heat here this afternoon. And Peter Brock trying to hold on to 3rd as they come up to the series of final corners. And Brock gets out of here, floats the tail out, and Brocky picks up a 3rd, just clear of Jimmy Richards in car number 2. Alan Jones, 1 back behind them, and Dick Johnson. What a race, the 2nd heat this afternoon. Fabulous drive to Glenn Seaton. We'll check them out for you on our Shell race score. Seaton, the winner in car number 30. 2nd spot, Tony Longhurst, the Benson & Hedges BMW. Brocky finishes in 3rd, Jimmy Richards 4th, and Alan Jones, the top 5 today.
John Bow creeping over the line, and he gets off the line, but Scaife gets off sideways with him, and Seaton down the inside, and Peter Brock tries to open them up as well. Seaton will lead this. Yes, he does, into the first turn. Out of the second row. Fantastic stuff as they all haul through turn number 1, the short straight up to the second left-hander. John Bow has gone back a spot, and Alan Jones has made a remarkable start down the inside. Wouldn't even mind betting Jones will come out of there running about 4th.
Well, it doesn't matter what John Bow does now, Mike, if he doesn't get a minute penalty for jumping the start. It's a savage ruling, but that's no worse than a Formula 1 champion gets creeping on the line. I can't see that he won't get penalised for that.
Well, it was a sensational start from Seaton, but Mark Scaife just got swamped off the line. I'm not sure there's a mechanical problem there or he done at the start, but we can't see him in the backpack. There he is, Mark Scaife out of the race.
Crowd absolutely standing as one, cheering on Glenn Seaton as he hauls down into the first turn, opening that gap. There's Alan Jones in the second of the Peter Jackson Falcon EVs. Going through, Wayne Gardner is just ahead of him as we pick up on the leader coming up to turn number 2.
Expect some big moves from Alan Jones in the opening laps of this heat. Had a disappointing practice, only qualified 8th, mysteriously dropped off half a second somewhere in qualifying yesterday. But as you see from AJ in so many heats of the Touring Car Championship this year, he will charge.
I don't think you could say that Gardner's doing a bad job of it at the moment, but here comes Jones. He's slipstream Gardner.
Crowd love that. They thought that was wonderful. So Jones is on the move. Mazera is up to position 16 from 33, the rear of the field.
So this leading 6 is becoming a very tight bunch indeed in the opening laps.
As you can see the freight train clearly through Brocky's windscreen. You can see it too.
And right behind him, we take the front air dam of our 7 Sport race cam. This is riding on Tony Longhurst BMW.
This is one of the most evocative views of motorsport you'll ever see. You couldn't get much closer to the ground. And hear the snarl of that little BMW 4-cylinder revving its head off, 9,500 RPM. Gets rocks and dirt thrown in his face to the bargain. Tony Longhurst, a great turn of speed at Eastern Creek this weekend.
Just look at this on the main straight. That's a V8 in front of him. It's not exactly walking away. This is what we can expect at Bathurst. BMWs, a flock of them, probably a dozen of them, will arrive out of the air. Be like the Luftwaffe.
Longhurst up to position number 7 in the field. There's Brock looking to the inside of Larry Perkins. They exit turn number 2. They come up on one of the slower 2-litre cars. He hangs to the left side of the racetrack. There's the view inside Brock's Mobil 1.
Just see the way that 1,000-kilo BMW just murders the V8s under brakes. There he is, making up a lot of ground on Peter Brock. Brock is going to be under fire very, very shortly.
Okay, let's take a look at this. This is Tony Longhurst as Brocky gets it around in front of him. Longhurst backs it out, but able to straighten it up. One of the slower cars there, just separating them, and Colin Bond moving up to lead the 2-litre class at the moment in the Caltex Toyota Corolla.
No shortage of horsepower from the Holden Racing Team Commodore. I think Fred Gibson, one of their customers, was speaking in the region of 560, 570 horsepower, which is pretty phenomenal for an engine with a 10-to-1 compression ratio and 7,500 RPM rev limit. And Longhurst has a look down the inside. He's giving Gardner plenty, and Gardner working
really
very, very hard.
This is extremely hard to drive at this point too. I mean, you can imagine it's all right for us to say, back off a little bit, Tony. You might hit that bumper bar. But he's the full bonnet length of the car away from that bumper bar. To judge this sort of tactics, here he's having another, he might not quite. He's doing a superb job. We have to hand it to Tony Longhurst. He won the BMW Driver of the Year. Is going to Spa later in the year in August, middle of August, to drive with the BMW team. And we wish him well in that job. 24 hours around Spa will give him plenty of practice, and he'll come back wound up, ready for Bathurst. We won't be able to put up with him, unfortunately.
They go to the right-hander, and once again we see Alan Jones with Wayne Gardner right on his tail, and Tony Longhurst then moving right under the rear wing now of Wayne Gardner's car. Perkins is there, so too is Brock, and the first of the Diet Coke BMWs as well. It's been a fabulous scrap between these 4 or 5 cars since the race started. Glenn Seaton, it's been easy stuff, although setting the pace he's been setting, it's not easy, but you can see the gap that he's opened up. 3 laps to go as they come across the strike. At the pointy end of the field, it's Glenn Seaton. John Bow in second. Third is Alan Jones, followed by Gardner. Longhurst is next. Perkins, Brock. Then car number 23 sitting just in behind them. Paul Morris, the first of the Diet Coke BMWs. Round 6 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. And Thomas Mazera moves up on the tail of Neil Crompton. I think he's given him about 10 or 14 cars start in the field. And Thomas is hauling the mile. Look at this for horsepower. The GIO car feeling the brunt of a little more poke from Thomas Mazera. So Crompton goes back one in the pack, tries to sit in behind Thomas, but Mazera has done a fabulous job from the back of the field. Look at this.
Look at Longhurst biting
If
at
he
the
just
heels.
have found a little gap there, he would have made a hut. Telecom Mobile Net. Nice one, Chucky. He gets out of the turn. 1 lap to go. Glenn Seaton leads them across the line. It's out to 5 car lengths over John Bower. 4 back to Alan Jones. Next is Wayne Gardner. Tony Longhurst is the next in the queue with Larry Perkins closing on him.
Look at the speed through this corner. He's actually gaining on the V8 in front of him. Tony takes that corner wide. Tough
Neil.
luck for Neil.
GIO Australia Commodore has gone out into the
Terminal.
no finish zone, so that's bad luck for Neil. He was very quick here on Friday and had problems yesterday. Thought that I think they were about 5th or 6th fastest here on Friday, dropped out to 12th yesterday. They're on the final lap.
Meanwhile, behind this pack, Paul Morris is climbing all over the back of Peter Brock's Commodore. Keep in mind that only Longhurst and Morris's car have the full aerodynamic kit with the big splitter on the front spoiler and the big wing. The other two haven't been provided with them yet. So
They're on the plane from Germany as we speak.
Going to be giving Tony and Paul just a little bit more advantage.
Here's the man that's dominated the Shell Australia Touring Car Championship so far, Glenn Seaton, wrapping up another one, doing it beautifully. And the crowd in the grandstand think this is fabulous. Seaton across the line leads John Bower by 3 car lengths. Alan Jones finishes in 3rd. 4th is Gardner. 5th is Tony Longhurst. 6th would be Larry Perkins, followed by Peter Brock. A fabulous drive to Glenn Seaton, and that was a good race. Seaton, the race winner over John Bower. Alan Jones 3rd, Wayne Gardner 4th, and Tony Longhurst, the giant killer, was 5th. And drama all ready for Peter Brock. The 05 Commodore has pulled off the starting grid and comes into the pits. Some problems for Peter Brock, whether or not he's going to change a tyre or not. Brock there with the mechanics. Andy Raymond is down at the pits.
Yes, Peter Brock is actually going to start from pit lane. The crew has figured out they are going to change all 4 tyres, but they are not going to do it before the green light comes on. So, in fact, Peter Perfect will be starting from pit lane.
10 seconds away from the start. Lonely spot for Dick Johnson, the rear of the field up front. Glenn Seaton and John Bower ready to scream off into the distance, and Alan Jones ready to win the start. They get off the line. Wayne Gardner separates them and switches to the outside as he and Jones go after it into the first corner. That's brought the fans alive here at Eastern Creek. Glenn Seaton has won the battle to turn number 1, but right behind him, Wayne Gardner got off the line like a rocket ship.
Beautiful start.
There's John Bower. Tony Longhurst back in behind him.
Look at the charge of the BMWs. They did well in the first heat and they've started off a great position, well up in the top 10 for the second. Keep an eye out for Dick Johnson and Mark Scaife too. They're charging through from the back of the grid on fresh tyres. It's going to be quite a charge.
Here comes Jones down the inside of Wayne Gardner. Moment of truth for our 2 world Formula champions, motorcycles and Formula 1. As they come down the side of Corporate Hill to the very tight right-hander. Glenn Seaton, the Peter Jackson. Oh, that's not where you go, and John Bower will close that up on the inside. Fans in the grandstand thought that was just wonderful.
Big drag race on the back straight. They get the power down. The Chevy and the Ford V8 side by side as they swing through the switchback. Gardner gets pushed wide again. He's dropped 2 positions. He's gone way off the racing line.
All sorts of trouble.
Well, Wayne Gardner's race, a chance of a placing over quite early.
And the crowd get to their feet as they come past the grandstand for the first time. It's Seaton and a huge roar. Alan Jones in 2nd place. The BMW in 3rd and John Bower in 4th.
Let's have a replay of the start of the race from Dick Johnson's Dunlop race camp off the starting line. Now he started dead last in this one. There's a passage down the inside. Goodbye, boys. And here he is down on the inside of Bob Forbes' car. So he's picked up 6 or 7. Now it gets tight at the front end of the field. There's a little opening down there. We'll clear the lens for you.
Holden team with fresh tyres. Off they go. Brock is already gone and away.
Mark Scaife coming at him from all angles at the moment. They come down the front straight. Let's have a look at the horsepower difference.
Well, it's a drag race. And
Got him.
no shortage of grunt from the V8. We quoted somewhere in the region of 550 horsepower out of the Chevs and Chev units and the Commodores this year. Tony Longhurst couldn't quite match that in a straight line as we take Dunlop race camp aboard Dick Johnson's Falcon. Dick on the charge through the field as well.
Gardner back into the pits for another stop, so something is not right with the number 16 Telecom Mobile Net Commodore.
And look at this, John Bower's finally got his way past Paul Morris. Well, Wayne Gardner heading into the pits. So it's V8's 1, 2, 3 again at the front of the pack. BMW splitting from 5th place.
It's a very disappointed Wayne Gardner. They thought you just had a puncher, Wayne, but it's a little more than that.
Yeah, I got shunted off by John Bow, and when we came together, my tyre was cut up from his and punctured, and then also he bent my steering, so I shot off the track. They put another tyre on, and it wasn't steering straight, so I called it a day.
Oh, Mazira squeezes through.
But Larry's got the right line for the next turn.
Oh, yes, and the brakes as well. Goes very deep. Blocks his tracks. Jim Richards
There's
follows him
Jimbo.
through for good measure.
Saying, just keep it up. Larry held it under control there. Nicely done.
As we watch Dick Johnson, a study of concentration here as he moves around in the seat a little at the end of the front straight.
And that's back inside Brock. Looking at the outside of Johnson's car 17. Dick's had a wretched weekend. He had a nasty crash on Friday, misunderstanding with Larry Perkins, and apparently the chassis telemetry from the Shell team said he hit the wall at about 180 clicks, which never does much good to a new Chazelle.
Not at all. You don't like to hit him that hard. A couple of scrapes or a little bit of body damage, a door handle or two, as we have a Commodore sneaking up alongside here, Cheeky Brocky, but he's on the wrong side of the circuit. Dick's not having any of that, but good driving there. Peter hung on to it. He didn't go extra wide.
Oh, as Thomas Mazira comes up on the inside of Tony Longhurst and passes him.
Well, every time these flock of cars come past the grandstand, the crowd is standing to their feet, absolutely engrossed in the battle happening here. Great variety of cars as Brock finally gets his way past Johnson. Well done. He's been hammering away at the back of the Shell car for a couple of laps. So Brock's initiative of starting from pits on new tyres seems to be paying off at this stage of the race as he pushes his way through.
And here is the 05 Commodore, the hero so far today. Every time Brocky comes past the grandstand, all those Ford supporters who were standing as one earlier have all assigned Brock as their hero for Heat 2 today.
Sure have. So Brock hard at work in the office of 05, as we've seen so many times before.
Brock is 10th on the road at the moment.
Yes, I think he's got to on his measure here. It'll only be a question of getting rid of these sharp horseshoe corners.
He's through.
He's already through. I think there must be something wrong with Tony. I don't think he could be nailed that easily.
Well, he's now up behind Thomas Mazira, but I think he's run out of time, and Thomas is sitting under the shadow of Larry Perkins. They've had a fabulous drive. Now, the spectators have seen plenty of passing here today with the big V8s. And commiserations to Wayne Gardner, who looked like he was in this with a very, very big chance.
Larry takes the conservative line, shall we say. Oh, Thomas almost locked up a brake there.
And Brocky's there to pick up the pieces in case they both get off onto the wrong line.
Just not quite enough real estate there for him to capitalize on that good slipstream that he got behind Mazira. But not to say that he hasn't got designs on a better finish still. Here we go through the office window. Yeah, come out wide, go in through, slam her down into second.
Well, there's a battle of pride at stake here too. This is going to be the fastest Commodore run at Eastern Creek. So one of these three wants to take it.
Last corner comes up now as Glenn Seaton and Alan Jones right behind him. He eases it up as Jones comes across the outside. They're going to have a form finish, 1-2 across the line. Seaton wins it. Jones finishes in second. John Bow is going to get third, followed by Paul Morris. A fabulous finish and a great day for the Peter Jackson team of Glenn Seaton and Alan Jones. Let's check them out on the Shell race score, confirming Glenn Seaton and teammate Alan Jones are 1-2 in round 6. John Bow and the Shell Falcon EV finishes third. Paul Morris, a great fourth place in the Diet Coke BMW, and rounding out the 5 in 1, Mark Scaife, the Winfield Commodore.
Now that's what I call total domination. Another 1-2 to Glenn Seaton's Peter Jackson team, and Ford's 1-2-3 in both championship heats. On the Shell Series leaderboard, Seaton is 145 to Jones 116. John Bow remains in third place on 106 to Dick Johnson's 82, with Tony Longhurst on 51. Well, things may change a little on the way to our next round at Malala in South Australia, because CAMS has approved a new aero pack for the Holden Commodores, ensuring the racing will be just that little bit closer.
Packed grandstands at Malala Raceway, 3 behind the top 20. Peter Dillman, the Impala Kitchens BMW, Brad Stratton and Bob Holden round out a 23-car field. A smile on the face of Bill Hamill and maybe Rob McIntyre from Holden today. Commodores, the front row, ready for round 7 of the Shell Touring Car Nationals. They're off the line. Scaife wins the start. John Bowe stalls on the starting line, and they all move to the right to avoid contact as Glenn Seaton slots into second spot as they head down towards the pit turn for the first time. But Mark Scaife has this one in control over Glenn Seaton. Next would be Thomas Mazira, followed by Larry Perkins, and then Alan Jones and Dick Johnson going hard at it as they head down that long straight into this very, very tight right-hander.
A brilliant straight by Scaife. He absolutely nailed it. The moment the light went green, he was away. A good start by Mazira, but Scaife was truly brilliant off the line.
Longhurst has rubbed a fender here by the look of things.
And Jeff Fall in trouble as well. The BMW's all over the place.
Down to the next corner. And it is tight down here, and I think it's Jimmy Richards also has smoke pouring off the back, and one of the Peter Jackson Falcons has got off there. That is Alan Jones. Very tight stuff in the opening lap of this. Alan Jones has dropped back through the pack. He's back to almost 4th or 5th last. And John Bowe is back there in company with him as well. So an exciting opening lap here at Mallala for round 7.
Honestly, the last time I was as chilly as I was here yesterday, I was in Saskatchewan.
Oh, look at Johnson. He's more than a nudge here. Larry gets very, very sideways. Johnson kept the pedal down. It looked... Wayne Gardner gets more look on the inside, and Wayne's having a good run here. This is the first time he's ever seen Mallala on a bike or in a car.
Well, that move upset Larry because Dick's gone by him there. He's got a
There's
dose
another
of the,
little bump.
Little dose of the pouch there. Larry won't like that much. The beauty of these regulations is that it allows them to find the problem and fix it. Larry was chasing exactly the same thing with his Castrol Commodore, had a good run at Phillip Island, and then...
Oh, Thomas! No, it was Wayne Gardner.
No, I think Larry lost it by himself.
And caught Jimmy Richards on the way out.
So Gardner gives him a tap onto the way into the corner, but failed to get away with it. Another one's cleaned him up. Look at the damaged bodywork on the 16 car. Captain Chaos, they call him. Wayne Gardner's in trouble again.
That's the Commodore of Mark Scaife. Glenn Seaton getting a little closer, and they've opened up a gap to Thomas Mazira. Here comes Thomas in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. Behind him, Dick Johnson's been the big mover in this race so far. The Shell Falcon, then back to Brocky, who started out at 12, and coming back through the pack, there's Jimmy Richards in the second of the Winfield Commodores. Then it's Alan Jones, followed by John Bowe. Neil Crompton goes through, and then we have the Diet Coke BMW with Tony Longhurst down on the inside as well.
Another disappointment for Wayne Gardner as the Holden Racing Team mechanics rip off the damaged bodywork.
I think they're wasting their time trying to get this one out in this heat. They'd be far better off having a serious look at it. That rear wing won't be easily replaced.
Well, he's still got his harness on. He's not too interested in getting out of the car at the moment.
Not
Jim
on.
Richards' bodywork flapping everywhere, come under fire from Alan Jones. Two number 2s, or I guess you could say, from the Peter Jackson and Winfield teams, but Jones comes firing back under brakes.
They're very, very good under brakes, the Falcons, and does that very, very comfortably.
But he's run wide. Richards gets the power down. They're going to have a drag race up the back straight through the kink. Jones has got a bit of a gap on him. No, Richards tucks in for the draft. Very fast sweeper this. Good speed shot as they come past our Channel 7 camera. Well in excess of 200 kilometres an hour down the back there. Very tight circuit. Here's a traditional Alan Jones charge, moving his way back through the field. Look at this. Getting under brakes.
This is tight. Fast right-hander.
Brakes. Tremendous aggression from AJ. Anyone who followed this man's Formula 1 career would know he can turn it on at will.
As they come down the back straight, and this is an absolute stop-and-go corner here as Bowe comes up on the inside.
Oh.
Makes life difficult for Jimmy Richards, but Jim gives way.
Oh, Alan Jones has gone off as well.
Yep.
And here's a charge going on. Larry Perkins, you'll recall, was punted off by Wayne Gardner. He is just driving the most inspired of races in the in the Castrol Commodore. He's got his way past Jimmy Richards. He's come back through the field again.
He's up to 8th position. That's a great fight back.
Alan Jones coming into the pits in car number 35. A wretched day for Jones so far. Pinged for jumping the start of the Peter Jackson Dash. He was 3rd fastest qualifier yesterday, and he's not going to finish in heat number 1 today. He's all over the tail of Peter Brock here as they come through the chicane. Brings them back across the start line. About 7 laps to go.
Oh, he's giving him a little tap. Bodywork goes flying. Another mobile bumper bar bites the dust.
Yes, a tap from Larry there. He's very aggressive here today.
Smile, Freddie Gibson. There's good reason to. His boy leads and he's counting the laps down.
I do believe that with the championship fairly well sewn up in Glenn's grasp, although certainly he doesn't want to have a DNF, that he could be driving conservatively here. He's not certainly monstering Scaife in any shape or form.
Laps winding down with 1 to go. as they disappear along the back straight. The last lap board about to come out on the front straight as Mark Skaife gets across the line with Glenn Seaton still running second behind him.
Well, I think this is a show of genuine speed from the Commodores here. Seaton is certainly not a cruise and collect driver. He wants to win every race that he possibly can.
Right
and
in
he'd
front
be
of...
out there driving as hard as he possibly can. A bit of a smoke screen there.
That was caused by Johnny Smith, but they come up to the last corner now, and Holden fans rejoice. The Ford stranglehold has been broken at Mallala, and the crowd think this is marvellous. Mark Skaife leads them across the line. Glenn Seaton's in for second spot, and Thomas Mazira will take third for the Holden Racing Team, the Telecom Mobile Net car. Back in fourth spot will be Dick Johnson in the Shell Falcon EB, and fifth will go to his team partner, John Bowe, in car number 18. Plenty of interest, plenty of action in heat number 1. Let's check them out for you on our Shell race score. Mark Skaife the winner, Glenn Seaton in second spot, Thomas Mazira third, Dick Johnson fourth, and John Bowe was fifth. 10 seconds now away from the start. The lights will turn to green shortly. Mark Skaife, Glenn Seaton looking for a perfect start off the front row. The revs come up now. Off the line, Seaton. But coming up smartly on the inside of him is Thomas Mazira, who's looking at trying to shuffle out Mark Skaife as they run down to the first turn. Let's make sure they get through the next turn without any incidents. Glenn Seaton got the start he absolutely required here. He's out of the turn quick. Skaife in behind him. Mazira is next, followed by John Bowe. Then it's Dick Johnson, and Longhurst trying to separate Brock and Larry Perkins.
Well, the lights out foxed Mark Skaife this time. He got a brilliant start in the first heat, but very conscious of creeping at the start. He was creeping. He had to stop, and then he had to restart. By that time, Glenn Seaton was gone.
It's a good battle going back for third place too as they swept through opposition. Here they are, the two Shell cars, the Sandwich, Thomas Mazira in between them and the HRT Commodore. Hard under brakes down into the hairpin. Seaton leads them through. Skaife. John Bowe, excellent start compared to his first one. He couldn't have done worse than that. Thomas Mazira, Dick Johnson, Larry Perkins, Peter Brock side by side as they come through the big fast left-hander, heading down toward the stop corner. Look at this. Two oil protagonists, Castrol versus Mobil, the battle of the oil companies. Hard under brakes, follow them through. Who's going to win this?
I'd say it'll be Brocky.
Yep.
They come through the chicane to reel off the first lap here with Seaton out to 2 car lengths over Mark Skaife, 5 then back to John Bowe, 2 back to Thomas Mazira. Then it's Johnson, Brock, Perkins, Longhurst and Jimmy Richards. Mazira in car number 15, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore, trying to hold Dick Johnson at bay. Peter Brock is only 1 back behind them.
Meanwhile, Wayne Gardner's headed back to pit lane. He had a disastrous first heat. You saw him get involved in that smash-up derby. He's gone back into the pits. Meanwhile, Alan Jones on the charge, as we expected, up to 10th position already. Expect AJ to be right.
Look at this.
The action.
Under
Speaking
brakes,
of action.
There's Dick under brakes, nailing Mazira.
It's a good move. Dick got him very cleanly too, as Wayne Gardner goes back into the pits, car number 16. Hasn't been really the best of days for Wayne Gardner.
Yes, I think it'll only be 1 flick of the lights here.
They'll be straight down the inside. Here he is. And that's exactly where he nails Longhurst under brakes, and Larry will try and sneak through unless Tony can get back on the queue, which he does.
Oh, look at this. There's a 1600cc car in the way, but he sneaks under that. That slowed Jimmy Richards down too. Get the power on. Another drag race between the Chevy-powered Commodore and the Ford. Oh, you got to hear Richards right on the rev limiter there.
Yeah, Machine Gun City.
And look at the braking performance of this Peter Jackson car. Phenomenal stuff. We saw he did the same thing to Longhurst the lap before, leaving his braking later and later each time, and the Falcon well in control.
Oh, move over.
They are flying. They're pushing it.
Oh, and there's Johnson in.
He has been in the wars. Air jack goes in. Tyres coming off.
I'd say so.
Very badly flat-spotted Dunlops on that Falcon, I would imagine. Dick's race is run, competitively, that is.
Yes, he will have said, I might as well start fresh with maybe even another compound tyre now.
Sure.
All bets are off when you come into the pits.
Alan Jones gets a good run out of that corner. He's going to go very late under brakes, and he's got him covered.
Got him, nice move.
Oh, he ran wide, and he put the wheels up on the ripple strip, and he managed to gather it up. And meanwhile, Richards comes through.
Nasty. That's very unlike Jim.
But he eased it out.
He
gave
did.
Peter a chance to get it back again.
He did. He let Peter get back on speed there. Back under control, I guess.
Meanwhile, back at the field, 13 seconds ahead of this battle. Seaton sweeps through. Mark Skaife. This is Wayne Gardner, who's returned to the circuit in the second HRT car.
John Bowe, he's running 1 spot back behind them, and
fourth is Thomas Mazira, and there's Alan Jones. Boy, He's on a charge, and he's going to be filling the mirrors of that HRT Commodore pretty quickly. And Larry squeezes through on Jim Richards as well. I wonder if Richo's got another problem. He was certainly in the wars in the first heat.
Thomas Mazera, car number 15. He's been rock solid all day today.
Yeah, holding it together nicely this
Oh,
weekend.
look at this. Scaife is right on the hammer of Seaton. He got held up with a slower car.
Yes, he did.
Now he's right here. This is going to look exciting. You can see Scaife's been chipping away at the lead just by the 10th, but now he's right on his bumper bar. And Scaife, obviously knowing that this is the big race that counts points-wise. He's not a threat to Seaton in the championship, but he'd certainly like to rob a few points from him.
Well, winning a touring car championship is a prestige event, and he'll be gunning it.
And keep in mind what we said in the first heat. If Scaife wins this heat, it'll be the first round win for a Commodore in 7 long years.
It's quite amazing.
They've got about a lap and 2 turns still to go, and Scaife is all over the tail of the Peter Jackson Falcon. They'll take the white flag next time through here. Listen to the crowd. They're standing cheering as the Falcon EV leads the Commodore VP across the line with 1 lap to go at Mallala.
Let's remember that it's been Scaife that's been bounced around in earlier heats here, and I would compliment him on his sporting driving here. He's had plenty of times where he might have been tempted to tap Glenn. He hasn't done that, and I think that's to his credit.
I reckon Glenn will be enjoying this. He's been so dominant in the Touring Car Championship so far, he's actually having a chance to really race wheel to wheel.
You're the eternal optimist.
Thank you. I think his stomach might be less than enjoying this at the moment.
Look at Scaife.
He'll be watching that rear vision mirror.
The mid-corner speed of these Commodores is so much improved. You can see how quickly Scaife got out of that turn.
Bobby Holden, the 2-litre, they just both passed.
Oh, he's
here
making
comes
a straight
Scaife with a
line.
huge run down the outside, but it's a late braking turn. He won't do anything here. Gardner sits on his tail as they go through here.
Seaton's car under brakes looks like a top fuel drags. The flames pouring out of both exhausts. He's back on the hammer again. Scaife's running out of options.
Close.
This is one option left. It's down the inside, but he'll have to outbrake him. Will he do it? He won't do it on the outside. It can only be the inside, and Glenn had that protected. They come to the chicane. This is the closest finish of the Touring Car Championship in light years. Here they come up to the last turn, sideways out of the turn, and it'll be Seaton across the line by half a car length to Mark Scaife. Third place will go to John Bowe, and right on Bowe's tail as they come out of the turn is Thomas Mazera in the Commodore. And finishing in 5th will be Alan Jones, a fabulous drive from the back of the field.
Well, the Ford-Holden battle has well and truly returned.
Yes, it certainly has. Glenn Seaton in a Falcon just wins today's round at Mallala. Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore finishes in 2nd. A Falcon finishes 3rd with John Bowe, Commodore 4th with Thomas Mazera, and another Falcon, Alan Jones 35 in 5th. Dismal conditions here at Wanneroo Park Raceway today. Dick Johnson and Mark Scaife the front row, only seconds away from the start. A field of 20 starters. Johnson creeps just a little bit, but off the line it's Scaife who gets away smartly. Johnson pulls him in though as they head down, and a shock of a start there for Glenn Seaton. Scaife will lead them down to the first corner with Johnson tucking into 2nd. Next is Perkins, then Richards, then Crompton. John Bowe the inside, Glenn Seaton the outside, and Peter Brock right behind him as Larry Perkins gets very, very sideways on the exit to turn number 1.
There's Larry in a bit of a spin, a nudge from Jim Richards, but the 2 guys off the front had creeping problems again. It'll be interesting to see whether the Clark, of course, has got his eyes open today. Be interesting. Here's Larry.
There goes Alan Jones, car number 35. And down the back, you can see the pressure is on already.
Down into the gully, Mike. It'll be a big puddle at the bottom of this hill there. You can see the spray from the lead car going up.
Well, Larry Perkins made a beautiful start.
Mandatory for brake lights to be working in these conditions, of course.
Look at Jimmy Richards here, Alan on the inside of Dick Johnson. Johnson's sticking to the wide line. And as they come into the turn, there's Jim. We'll see who gets out of here the best. They rub fenders on the exit to that turn down the front straight. Richards will have the lie for the next turn. It's down the inside. You've got no business being on the outside there. Car number 40 going off there at the bottom of the racetrack. That's Ian Love, one of the local boys who has joined the field along with Alf Barbagallo. 17, Dickie Johnson.
Dick did a superb job to come home. Some would say winner, but certainly finished well to come 2nd at Bathurst last year. He's not frightened of the rain, but here even Crompton having a go under brakes. The Commodores really seem to have a package here today.
Glenn Seaton running 7th at the moment as Larry
finds John Bow up on the inside of him. There's Seaton just back behind Larry Perkins in car number 11. So Commodores 1, 2, 3 at this stage of the race. Mark Scaife leading, his teammate Jim Richards in second. And a blinder here from Neil Crompton today in the GIO Australia Commodore. He had terrible problems a week ago at Malala, had an engine that hardly pulled the skin off a rice pudding, and that had come from the factory, and they went away and did a lot of homework during the week, and obviously it's paid dividends.
No, this guy said, well, this is a business, Mike. The harder you work, the luckier you get, and people can complain about this and that, but if you put the time in and you've got dedicated staff, you can get
there
results.
goes Johnson. He's looped it. Dick's been fairly uncomfortable out there since this race started. He's been on almost the wrong line, and I think he's had a chassis problem the last couple of races anyway. That was Paul Morris, car number 23, off there in the sand trap, was able to keep it under control, got it back out onto the circuit again.
But here's Perkins in the slide.
He's finally done it. He's going to back it out there, but he doesn't need to take it any further because he will bury it. It's buried. Peter Brock, 05, the mobile Commodore, and right behind him is Alan Jones in the 35 Peter Jackson car. They race up the hill side by side. Alan Jones on Friday here was the fastest man around Wanneroo. Had a problem yesterday just before qualifying, but Brock able to get away from him down the hill, but he's got the wrong line for the next turn.
No, nice move there by Jones. He was able to maintain Brocky's speed on the straight, although Brock coming back with a vengeance on the inside down pit straight, and perhaps will hold Jones off into the right-hander at the end of this straight, which he's done. A little bit of cat and mousing here between these two stagers, who certainly have got a lot of laps under their belt.
And down at Kolb Corner, we've had two cars go off. As you recall, the Diet Coke car was buried down there a little earlier. Larry Perkins got around sideways. He's gone in there as well. So it has been a corner that has picked up a few of them, particularly those a little taily through there that have gone out off the circuit into the sand trap. Oh, there's Blanchard in the number 20 car. It's not the best of days for the Bimmers. There's not a glimmer of one out here. So Blanchard has gone off into a sand trap. Well, you can notice Peter Brock last lap round, he had Alan Jones up on the inside of him, but was able to outbrake him and then to out-accelerate him down through here. 77. They named the circuit Wanneroo Park only recently after Alf Barbagallo, but Alf has found the sand trap.
Here's Peter Jackson in 35. We've got the demiss problem.
With 3 laps to go, Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards down the inside of the two Toyotas, John Smith and Colin Bond in the 2-litre category. And is Jim going to make a play for the lead here? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, this is a credit to any team when you're running 2 cars to get them running 1-2. You don't do that by accident. I tip my hat to Fred Gibson's company here and all the fellows that must have worked extremely hard. The drivers can only do so much if the cars aren't prepared well, if the engineering that goes into them isn't designed right in the first place. The drivers have a tough time of it, and I think these 2 fellows have been working away steadily since the beginning of the season, and they've got their team into a slingshot position here for the endurance races that count so much in Australia.
And here they come. Downhill, Mark Scaife leading, proving it wasn't a fluke last weekend at Malala. Jimmy Richards tucks right in behind him. They're going to have a form finish, but they'll race it out for the lead as they come across the line. Commodores 1, 2 and 3 for the first heat at Wanneroo Park. Neil Crompton, his best touring car championship finish, will get up to take 3rd over John Bow, and rounding out the 5 will be Thomas Mazera. Great driving from the group here today in atrocious conditions in the west. Let's check them out for you on the Shell race score. Mark Scaife, your race winner over Jimmy Richards. 2 for the Winfield Commodore team. Neil Crompton 3rd in the GIO Commodore. 4th was John Bow. And rounding out the 5, Thomas Mazera in the Telecom MobileNet Commodore. About 10 seconds away from the start of heat number 2, the 2 Winfield Commodores. Car number 2, Jim Richards, and Mark Scaife on the inside of him. Windscreen wipers going. Who will win the race to the first turn? I tell you what, it might well be the Rainmaster, Jimmy Richards, who gets off at Crompton. Down the inside of Scaife and John Bow the outside. They've shuffled him out. Look at this, the 2 of them go off. Out goes John Bow. Thomas Mazera's locked up.
Well, that was a little unnecessary. Beautiful start by Jim Richards. We thought he might have this on his mind after the coming second in the first heat. Great run by Crompton to hold second place at the moment.
The disgruntled John Bowe in car number 18 heads on back to the pits, and Mark Scaife there as well.
Can't get out of that one. He's knee-deep in the sand. They're meant to be there for safety reasons. Those sloshy conditions, the fellows were out of control. But a great run by Jim Richards.
Still running strongly in second spot as Richards opens that gap. Thomas Mazzera, who was in with a chance in this one, I felt, but unfortunately has paid the penalty somewhat as the Scarpa off into the sand. There goes Glenn Seaton in car number 30, followed by Peter Brock. And Tony Longhurst now coming up on the inside of Brocky. Longhurst has the only BMW still running here today.
A lot of troubles in the first heat with the other BMW cars. They landed up in the sand for one reason or another. And Longhurst throwing it around with gay abandon, letting Brock know he'd like to get by here. He's going to have to get right up alongside him before he can take advantage under brakes. There's Mazzera walking back.
There's JB heading back to the pits.
We don't see it, no. And Glenn Seaton now as well. That's...
Problems there for Seaton.
That's be the first non-finish that he's had. We've picked up on that one a little later, but Glenn Seaton out of the race, out of the first heat that he's failed this season.
Gee, that is disappointing. Crompton will be dreading this. Gardner poking the nose down on the inside. Oh, yes.
I think
he said, oh, no. And we're not casting any disparaging remarks about Wayne Gunn. It's just the fact that poor Wayne, every time this season he's stuck his nose into a hole in a tight situation, it just hasn't worked out for him. Either he's gone off or he's taken someone with him.
Right, he's been nicknamed.
Oh, look at this Gardner, just lovely to get it sideways. Well, this race could have been something different had it not been for the first corner. Let's go down to pit lane and Andy Rain.
Yes, a very disappointing early exit, Mark. It was helter-skelter down there for a while.
Yeah, no, it was. I didn't get a very good start, really, Andy. I bogged a little bit on the line, then I had a fair bit of wheel spin, so I didn't get the world's best start, but there was a bit of biff and barge on down there, and Thomas probably went down a bit of a hole that didn't need to be there, but that's how it is.
Crompton got away, actually, from Gardner a little bit, and Gardner is now going to have rat-a-tat-tat. No baloney, Tony all over him here in a moment. Tony be revelling in this.
He's just getting practiced up for his 24-hour stint at Spa next month. Be looking forward to that with the factory BMW assault on the world-famous Spa 24-hour race in Belgium. There he goes.
Gardner's hung out the white flag.
Yes, he has.
Now see how the Holden tries to get back and out-accelerate up the hill. No, he can't. So Longhurst is looking strong. Crompton comes down the inside of the two Toyotas driven by John Smith. Look at Gardner. Comes very cheekily back around the outside. Gives away to Longhurst on the inside as they reach half distance and come across the line. Longhurst up on the inside of Gardner, but Gardner will not say die. Look at this. He's come up behind, I think it might be Bond, in the number 8 car. Tony Longhurst, having replaced an engine between the first and the second heats. He took the coolers and everything off his when he ditched it into the sand in the earlier heat. So they've had a lot of work to do, and he just pulls up alongside Crompton as they come up the hill.
Got some nice bite out of the hill there. He was positioning himself nicely, and now he's going to hold him off down the main straight and nail him under brakes. Neil won't be able to escape here, and elects to take third spot.
But in the dry here on Friday, Jones was very much the star of the show. He was setting record times. Jim Richards brings them across the line, 7 laps remaining.
Closer now than he's been. He might try it this time.
Oh.
Yes, he might. He's got him.
He's going to do it. There's no place to go there, so Gardner will go through. Crompton comes back on the inside of him to see if he can get down the inside of him again. Gives him a tap. That gives him a spin.
That was uncalled for. I'm sorry.
Gardner's hand goes up.
Well, he's every reason to be extremely cheesed with that, Mike. He was worked away steadily, didn't but hardly tap Neil once, worked his way hard up, nailed him justly under brakes, and I think that was uncalled for by Neil Crompton.
Here we go. He already had the hand out the window, Wayne Gardner, to say, hey, hey, hey. Gentleman Jim, car number 2, the Winfield Commodore, as he comes up on Alf Barbagallo in the Castrol Commodore. Tony Longhurst still runs in second spot. He's probably about 6 seconds back behind Gentleman Jim. Then a fair gap back to Neil Crompton in third place. So Richards makes his way out of the turn, heads on down the back straight as Larry Perkins goes through, and here's Tony Longhurst running in second. Now we'll wait for the gap back to Neil Crompton, who's got Larry Perkins closing all over the tail of his car in this final lap. Here's Crompton going through. Look at Larry, sideways, gassing it up. Half a lap to go, and Perkins is on the move. Last corner coming up, and round number 8 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Commodore strikes and wins the round cleanly with Jimmy Richards in car number 2. Second spot will go to the giant killer Tony Longhurst, who absolutely gained some success here today, some success he thoroughly deserves. And third place will go to Neil Crompton in the GIO Commodore, as he just gets across the line in front of Larry Perkins. Well done, Gentleman Jim. He retains the title of the Rainmaster. Checking them out for you on the Shell race score: Jimmy Richards, the race winner over Tony Longhurst. Neil Crompton finished in third. Fourth was Larry Perkins, and rounding out the 5 was 0-5, Mr. Brock.
10 seconds away from the start. As we go inside the Mobil 1 Commodore, the man on pole position, Peter Brock. John Bowe.
Set now for the start of the grand final day from Oran Park Raceway. You're watching it live, and off the line, Glenn Seaton picks up again. They're 4 wide as they head down the front straight, and Jimmy Richards moves up alongside Peter Brock. John Bowe, they're going for a 4 car. Squeeze into the first turn, and Johnson away very, very slowly. Brocky will win the charge. Down into the first turn, and here's Bowe on the inside of Richards.
Johnson got caught on the start there. I think he even stalled the car. The field managed to get past him. It was a breathtaking moment as the field squeezed around him. The 17 car back into action. And talking about action, look at Peter Brock, the man on form, leads them through the first time. John Bowe in second position. First of the HRT Commodores in third, and Jimmy Richards in fourth.
Brock got a brilliant start. He actually dropped the clutch exactly as the green light went off. I honestly think John
There's
Bowe...
Wayne Gardner hanging on the wall, but
Bob Jones.
That was Bob Jones and the Ampol. He took it to the max.
We go inside with Mobil 1 race cam aboard. The man who's leading this race, Peter Brock, gets the powerings and the flames leaping from the exhaust of the Shell car 18 behind him. This is a 2-car war. These 2 great adversaries. Peter Brock coming back into form at the right end of the season with the Mobil 05 Commodore.
Gee, this is good to see.
Well, this is good to see, but this is what the Ford fellas have been fearing would happen.
There's Brock going through. Next is John Bowe. There's the gap back to Richards.
Alan Jones making up an enormous amount of ground under brakes there. Thomas Mazier under fire from Glenn Seaton, our new touring car champion.
Dick, we looked for you and you're at the back of the field. What went wrong?
I did a Bowie from Malabar, Mike. I stopped, and now it's obviously blown a hole in the exhaust, so I reckon it won't be long before the friendly EPA man might be waving a flag at me.
Well, just cool it as you go across the line. Here's the gap. Peter Brock comes downhill. Running in second is John Bowe. There, it's out to about 3 and a bit seconds, maybe 4. Next is Jimmy Richards running in third. Fourth behind them is Glenn Seaton. There he goes through. Next is Thomas Maziera in 15, followed by Alan Jones. Then it's Neil Crompton, and behind Neil Crompton it's Wayne Gardner in car number 16, then Larry Perkins. Well, we've been waiting for it for I don't know how long, over 12 months, to see that Mobil Commodore up in front. Brocky, you're doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, it's going pretty well, Mike. You've got to be nice and clean and accurate, but what a difference it does to have a clean bit of track in front of you.
That's the first clean bit of racetrack you've had all season.
Yeah, let's hope that around about October we get the same sort of feeling, Mike.
Yeah, well, enjoy it while you can, Peter, because you're going to be looking at the back of a Falcon in 60 days' time.
With that Holly carburettor out.
Yeah, don't you worry about that Holly. It'll blind you on Conrad.
Okay, my friend.
But here's Crompton up on the inside of Alan Jones. That is no mean feat.
Who said a Commodore couldn't handle?
No wonder Crompton was enthusiastic about this car. He is matching the championship winning car. Keep in mind, this is the car that Seaton drove to victory in this year's championship race. So there's no doubting the quality of the speed of that car, and Crompton is matching him pace for pace.
And here comes here's the Oran Park Gardner right behind him as well. And he has driven superbly here in this heat. I know he's caught plenty of stick.
Actually, Alan Jones just held his hand out the door to wave Wayne through. I think he may have a problem with this car.
The South 7 Sport race cam riding on the front bumper of Tony Longhurst's car.
He's going right down this front straight. Listen to him, he just lifts off a little. He's got a whole group of cars in front of him, including Larry Perkins, the Castrol Commodore. So Tony's coming into this, trying to monster them all. And as you can see here, Jones has dropped back in the pack. Larry has picked him up, and Tony Longhurst has picked Larry up.
Just see how hard these cars are working, Alan.
You'd like to be able to drive over Larry here.
Here he goes, up on the inside, ready for a little sway here.
Yes.
Now they've got 3 laps to go. Across the line, there's Longhurst. Up on the inside, now see whether or not that he can be passed again down the straight. Larry says, here we go. Can he out-drag him down to the left-hander? Yes, he can.
Just.
And here he is up again on the inside.
Tony Longhurst exploiting the sensational braking and handling abilities of this car.
Stuck the hand out the window.
Larry had to correct it quickly there. He didn't want to hit Tony.
Downhill now. Welcome back to victory lane for Brocky. Crowd warming here in the last turn. Look at them standing and waving as Brock comes out of the corner. The checker flag's out and Peter Perfect is back. Only a few weeks before Bathurst. John Bowe will bring them across the line to pick up second place. And Jimmy Richards will get third in car number 2, the Winfield Commodore. And I think his last win was back at Amaroo well over 12 months ago. So Brock wins heat number 1 here today. John Bowe places in second, Jim Richards in third, Glenn Seaton in fourth, and picking up 5th spot was Thomas Mazzera. The last few cars moving into position now. Peter Brock and John Bowe, the front row. Just look at the people here today for the Shell Series Grand Final at Oran Park. Fabulous crowd. We expect a fabulous race. They're off the line and John Bowe gets out quickly, but none quicker than Seaton and Richards, who tries to get up on the inside of Peter Brock, and there goes Seaton down the outside. Mark Scaife splitting some early. As they come down to the left-hander, Jim Richards will take over the lead. Richards, Brock back on the inside of Seaton. Alan Jones, a brilliant start from Jones, and he's already got by John Bowe. Down to the right-hander, beneath the bridge. Here's Brock coming up on the inside.
Big brake lock up there from the 05 car. He might have even given Jim Richards a tap as they came under brakes there. Alan Jones pushes his way up to second place. Now keep in mind, this means a lot to the Peter Jackson team. They want a 1-2 in this year's championship, and it's pretty straightforward what's going to happen here.
Brock got hung out to dry on the wall that time as they went up towards the bridge the first time, with Richards leading. The PJ team is second and third. Then it's John Bowe. Back behind Bowe and going through smartly is Thomas Mazzera. Then it's Neil Crompton in the GIO Commodore.
Alan Jones has to beat John Bowe here this afternoon, this final 20-lap heat, to come second in the Australian Touring Car Championship. It's going to be quite a battle. Jim Richards lets it one ride. The new Chevy from the Fred Gibson camp, powering down the straight. And look who's been in the wars again. Mark Scaife, the front of the Winfield car, very badly damaged.
To the right-hander, Brock closes a little on the GIO Commodore. But there's not enough left in reserve to be able to effectively pass him. He gets close here on the exit, switches it back on the inside.
He's trying. I don't know what he wants his hand out the window there for.
Perspiration.
This is a tough corner to be fooling around and giving hand signals.
You see Brock just feeding in the power and oversteering slightly. Keep in mind these tyres 21 laps old, plus the dash. We're probably getting... Brock also went onto a softer compound Bridgestone, so whether the tyres are starting to get a little bit spongy, we'll see. But he's certainly not making too many inroads on Crompton up ahead of him. Jim Richards, and haven't we seen a comeback from Jim Richards in these final rounds of the Touring Car Championship? Took a back seat to his teammate for most of the season, but that sensational drive at Wanneroo Park in the wet, back with Brock, and he's done it. Pushes his way past Crompton. You could see he was menacing him for 2 or 3 laps there. Waved his arm out the window coming onto the bridge. Now they come up to some slower traffic. Maybe an opportunity for Bowe if Jones gets held up. He picks it nicely.
Doolan and Cotter with their BMW 2-litre cars staying out of the way, letting the V8 split them as they come onto the front straight.
Here's Bowe taking a slipstream now, but not enough runway there for him to be able to get through this kink. He's got Alan Jones saying, "Oops, little lock-up," and nothing too severe.
In fact, Alan, Mark Scaife closing a little on this group, but Jim Richards starting to get away from Glenn Seaton.
They want this one too. It's a great thrill for a team.
This will be fascinating stuff. Let's see if Seaton plays rearguard action with John Bowe.
Half distance.
I'm sure Bowe would have seen this little move take place.
I wouldn't like it much, but if the shoe was on the other foot, you can be sure there'd be 2 shell cars would be doing the same. But saying to field 2 cars, start them, finish them well, finish the
that's very
championship.
close. There's been 3 or 4 body contacts there. Now has looped it.
He's lost his cool.
That's the championship.
Cheesed off with the move there on Seaton and took out his frustration with a little bump. It was a premature bump. It wasn't going to gain him anything.
Oh, look, and he almost sends Larry Perkins off into the bridge abutment there.
Whatever problem with the wheel here on the right-hand front. Mark Scaife, problems here. Car number 1 has pulled up off the circuit. He was up to 5th in the race.
Yes, well, it's nice to see this kind of technology on screen for viewers at home. You can see Dick's in 4th gear. He's just touched the brake pedal. He's still only doing over about 120k. RPM on the right between 6,000, 5,000 at the moment. Picking it up.
The pressure's on up here, though. Thomas Mazera and Glenn Seaton as the Commodore pushes its way through on the inside, and Brocky's come up just to join them.
Now, the interesting thing about this battle is that Peter Brock can still win the round today overall if he finishes 3rd. If the positions stay the way they are, Jim Richards 1st, Alan Jones 2nd. If Brock can sneak into 3rd place, he'll win the day overall. I'm sure he's been made aware of that on his radio telecommunications, so he's putting in the big ones now as they pick through the slower traffic.
Between the telemetry and the radio and the lap boards and the television sets, these fellows are probably better informed than the astronauts have been.
So Brocky, carrying our Mobile One race cam, comes up here behind Glenn Seaton. Seaton has given way to Thomas Mazera, who gets away from him on the exit to the bridge.
Oh, lock brakes. Oh.
I think Brocky's suffering a little bit from tire sponginess here. He's got the marshmallow cities on his hands. He's having to nurse the car. You can see him coaxing it and being a bit timid.
It's the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. We're riding with Peter Brock now.
5 laps to go in the grand final heat of the Shell Australian Touring Car title.
See how physical these cars are, and the Commodores particularly. They use power steering systems as opposed to the Fords, and they've really got to muscle those steering wheels, Alan.
They are. A little bit of drivetrain shudder there on Brocky's car. That machine gun sound, just some echo coming up from the drive tunnel off the tail shafts perhaps.
Brocky's a busy boy at the moment. He goes beneath the bridge. Comes up, sits in here behind Glenn Seaton. You're a pretty busy boy, Peter Brock.
Yeah, I am. I got pushed right back, pushed wide very badly at the start. So now I'm just trying to come back through the field. And I'll tell you what, to catch is one thing, Mike. To pass is another at the moment.
A good day for the team as Jim carts it down over towards the left-hander to take him up to the dogleg. So Richards, the exit of that corner.
Plenty of squirt there. You can see when the car leaps like that, it's just controlled power unleashing itself.
Last corner coming up now as Jimmy Richards comes off the final turn. Heading down to the checkered flag. He'll take the grand final race, but the championship will go to Glenn Seaton for the Peter Jackson team, and Alan Jones will come in 2nd here today in the Peter Jackson Falcon. Well, Thomas Mazera is across the line, got in for 2nd. Jones finishes back in 3rd, so Mazera was the man who made up a lot of ground in the final couple of laps of this race. Came from nowhere to pick up 2nd, just knocking Alan Jones off in the last lap. Let's check them out for you on the Shell race score. Jimmy Richards, the race winner. Fine drive to Thomas Mazera. Alan Jones finished in 3rd, gets 2nd in the title. Glenn Seaton in 4th spot, and rounding out the 5, Peter Brock in 0-5. Fabulous drives from Peter Brock and Jimmy Richards on grand final day at Oran Park. But the championship going to Glenn Seaton over teammate Alan Jones with John Bowe in 3rd place. And in the 2-litre category, congratulations due to Peter Dillman in the Impala Kitchens BMW. Well, it's been a fascinating championship series by Shell. I hope you've enjoyed our 7 coverage of the series, with special thanks to my co-commentators Alan Moffat, Mark Osler and Andy Raymond. On behalf of series producer Noel Brady and director Mark Lachlan, I'm Mike Raymond. Thanks for your company.